Never not bob my head.
It's such a catchy tune.
It's a bop. It's a boppy song. We chose our song well. Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to another Tim and Katie live stream. Chaotic as usual. This is still not done. Don't look back here. We've been busy. It's actually been, what, 3 weeks since the last time we did? Because we had a wedding to get to, and there's actually some solo vlogs coming up from me where I had too much time on my hands, and Katie was super busy as a bridesmaid. So we're here now. We're catching up. Who is in the comments? Oh, Storming Thrills. Tim is always
and the audio is good. Did you skip John?
I didn't miss John. John's in there twice.
Sorry.
I see that Chad and Venessa are in there. I wonder how that happened. John is in. Thank you very much for joining, John. Appreciate you. And Jackson?
Hey! Welcome.
I don't know if we've had Jackson in before. Welcome. Well, I promised I wouldn't keep our special guest backstage for too long. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on.
Are we bringing him on before follows?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Please bring on our guest.
We do 15 minutes of prep before every live stream, and it all goes down the tubes immediately.
Before or after. It's not bad.
We have some special guests backstage who, if you've seen the thumbnail and or the title, you'll probably already know who's here. It is our good friends, Chad and Vanessa from Two Tickets to Adventure. Guys, it's not your first time, so I feel like I don't have to roll out the red carpet for you anymore.
No. Yeah. You guys know what you're doing. We don't know what we're doing, but it's okay.
Make it up
I'm the same way.
We wanted to have Chad and Venessa on because they've traveled quite a bit and recently had a huge trip. Well, it feels like it was recently. I guess it was
forever ago
in reality. A few months ago now, but had a big old trip to Japan.
But the videos keep rolling out.
Yes, their videos are coming out fresh.
It was yesterday that Fuji-Q came out, right? Not today.
Correct, yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have so far from you guys and your Japanese trip.
A lot.
A lot
playlist.
Of small town stuff with the traditional Japanese baths and what is it? I can't remember what it's called.
The onsen?
Onsen.
Yep, hot spring onsens. Yep.
Yeah, the hot spring onsens. And then Universal Studios Japan you did for the first time.
Ghibli Park.
Ghibli Park, which nobody in our circle has done yet except for you, so that's pretty cool. So that's brand new.
I was freaking out watching that.
And then Fuji-Q Highland was just out very recently.
Among others, they showed off their Airbnbs and stuff they stayed in.
Yeah, that's why I was saying the onsen because.
Well, there's been more than just.
I know, but I loped everything into that one category.
But anyway, great stuff there. Really helpful information if you're planning a trip to Japan. So
Chad and Venessa bring all of the West Coasters to the pool. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us. Yes.
Yeah, if you can give that video a like, that'd be great.
That would be wonderful if you're enjoying the nonsense so far. Trust me, it'll only get worse.
It will get worse.
Yes.
We are really good at staying on track.
We are just awful at staying on track. That was sarcasm on Katie's part, in case nobody knew. All right. Speaking of being on track, that's what I do. Sarcasm is way funnier if you explain it.
No, it's not.
So let's dive right in. We do want to post our socials and Chad and Vanessa's socials. Ours are pretty straightforward. If you've been on before, you've seen them 1,000 times. For the real Tim and Katie on Instagram and Threads, because someone already had Tim and Katie, and I'm still low-key pissed about it. Then Tim and Katie on Facebook, and timandkatie.net is our website. We are in the process of getting that up to date as usual. Eventually, we will get there.
It's not
Too far behind. Relative to haunt season, it is like almost caught up.
Almost.
Then, of course, we have Chad and Venessa on tonight. Their channel is 2 Tickets to Adventure, and your primary, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I know this. Your primary is YouTube. Your secondary is Instagram. Do you have anything else?
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
None of us
Stick with
have
it.
TikTok because we're all too old. We
I
can't
watch
make
it.
it happen. I'm sorry.
I watch cat videos on there.
Yeah, I watch TikToks that get posted to Instagram. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's how...
they get reshared, and then sometimes I go to like my actual web browser and watch them in pop-ups because if someone send me a TikTok without
I
realizing I
just
don't have a TikTok.
refused to make another account. So there we go.
I tickle the like until it turns solid.
She's so silly.
Oh man. Okay. Well, those of you who don't know Chad and Vanessa, if you haven't seen them pop up in our vlog, it usually give or take once a year, we see Chad and Vanessa through some crossing of the paths, either orchestrated or serendipitous. And Chad and Vanessa are big theme parkers like we are. Also starting to be bigger haunters, I think, too, given your Halloween Horror Nights
Doing
experience.
Halloween Horror Nights
And
in like a 45-minute
Yeah, that was
haunted
amazing.
house at Fuji-Q.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
So it just plays right on into our channel that we have them on to talk a little bit of theme park news before we get into the bigger
Yay.
topic.
Yes.
Which is, it's going to be a fun night. For those of you who are joining us, if you're watching live, thank you for joining. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. We love having you. We will get to the main point of the live stream momentarily.
Which is us telling about
Riffing, basically.
we've been sometimes.
Just dumb stuff we've done.
Dumb stuff.
Dumb stuff. But we've kind of taken to doing a little bit of theme park news beforehand.
It's
since
just been a lot.
there's been a lot of
it
news
was
to talk
dry,
about.
and then I guess it's not. The well's been flowing.
We're in like announcement season for
Yeah,
theme parks
yeah.
right now. So I like this. TikTok free.
Just
It's too much trouble.
put it on my gravestone.
Kaylee! Welcome
Happy.
to that fantastic travel. All right. So
Get into that.
this is perfect for you guys, Chad and Vanessa, what we're starting with, because I know you have seen kind of like the outside edges of this in person,
Right,
but have
right.
not actually yet set foot into this area.
Yeah.
Fantasy Springs at Tokyo Disneyland, well, technically Tokyo Disney Sea,
Yeah.
is a just seismic expansion that Disney has just unveiled some more details about.
Right.
This is supposed to open in
2025?
June, I'm pretty sure.
Of this year?
Of this year.
Oh.
No,
year,
it's
yeah.
not 2025. It's this year. It's
Oh.
almost done.
Oh,
Yeah.
I kind of
And you
forgot.
couldn't even notice it, that it was hidden.
Yeah, we only saw it when we went around on the monorail. You saw it from the backside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't even
it's-
know that there's a construction anywhere inside the park.
And you guys have not posted your Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea vlogs yet. So we're all kind of waiting with bated breath to see what you actually did see while you were there.
And what
But-
you could capture, because we were just talking about how it's
Yeah, we were
A little
talking
more
backstage
restrictive
about
there.
So Disney has kind of, well, let me rephrase. Disney has not put the kibosh on vlogging in the parks as of yet. The day may come. But as of now, you can still film in most Disney parks. Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea are actually run by a different company that licenses the Disney IP rights, and they have instigated a no vlogging per se, but no professional vlogging equipment ruling.
Yeah.
So anyone who's in there is strictly capturing on their phone and also trying their best to avoid other people, because if you catch other people, you're technically in violation of the rules.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see how that went for you. 'Cause I know it was challenging. But yeah, So Fantasy Springs. This is the hotel.
Fantasy Springs Hotel.
This is the in-park hotel.
Yeah.
So there's a couple different things that they kind of unveiled, and we knew most of this was coming, but like the additional concept
art, yeah.
They're starting to kind of slowly creep out new details about what the actual environments are going to entail. So much like Epic Universe's upcoming Helios Grand, this hotel. Do you guys, Chad and Vanessa, do you remember what this hotel is called? Because off the top of my head, I don't remember.
I felt like it was Fantasy Springs something.
Fantasy Springs something.
If only there was an internet that we could go to.
If only there
Google is your friend.
Fantasy Springs
Hotel,
Tokyo Disney.
Fantasy
Springs Hotel.
Wait, no.
That's literally what it's called.
Yep. Tokyo Disney Sea Fantasy Sea Hotel.
So far, that's what it's called. I'm sure they're going to give it a different name as we go. I mean, I don't know though. The Disneyland Hotel is the Paris Hotel, and the Disneyland Hotel is. I think there is a Disneyland Hotel in Japan too.
It's supposed to be very luxe and I'm sure very expensive and private entrance, not private, but exclusive entrance right into Fantasy Springs from the hotel. So
apparently, from what we heard, it gives you guaranteed access into the land, maybe even re-entry, because they're going to do a situation. From what we heard, they're going to do kind of like what Universal Studios Japan does with Super Mario World, where you have to get a ticket at entry time, and then once you go in, you can't. If you leave, you can't go back in unless you pay for re-entry. Like it's going to be this whole ordeal that's going to be crazy that they would not do here in the States.
Right.
But Japan, as we figured out, was crazy.
At some point, we need to talk to y'all about like the. I don't know what to call it. Like the exclusivity of Japanese theme parks to the locals as opposed to the international travelers, which you guys were, because it seems like the Japanese theme parks are very much favoring the local communities, which is the opposite of how it is in America. They want to They wanted to bring in more international or like destination theme parkers, whereas the Japanese theme parks kind of seems like those parks are for them, and you're just lucky enough to be there for half an hour, however long you can get in. Anyway, so the hotel is one cool thing that they just kind of rolled out some details on, and this is not the only piece of concept art that they rolled out. They also have information on the rooms and whatnot. If I spend forever on the hotel,
I was gonna say we better move on.
I won't get to the other cool stuff.
We have Arendelle,
which we did just unveil Arendelle in Hong Kong Disneyland. So I think this is very, very similar to what they got. It's not identical one for one, but it's very close.
And they're supposed to have a Frozen ride too, but we don't know if it's going to be another like carbon copy of
the way they described it. It's tricky because like Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea, they like to have like exclusive attractions that you can't experience anywhere else, but that's not true of every single attraction. So it comes down to, do they think they're going to get like a big market share on Frozen IP? Is it big enough that they can just roll with whatever's already in the US, or are we going to get like something exclusive?
I mean,
the way it's described, it sounds like the former.
The Frozen Ever After I've largely focuses on the first movie and like the little springtime short. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll lean more into, Frozen 2 or something. And
that would be cool.
Maybe get some Into the Unknown or.
I think we heard it was going to be more Frozen 1. I don't remember.
You don't remember Frozen 1?
No, I think I heard that it was going to be more Frozen first movie.
Yeah. That makes.
I mean, that is the ice castle that she makes in the first one, so I don't know.
That's true.
Who knows?
It's all secret.
Yep.
It's all secret.
This is what I'm here for.
Yeah, we do have a little bit more information on the Tangled Land at this point. So
oversized bathroom.
I know.
More than just the US theme parks have just like a staggering lack of Tangled. For how popular the IP is, I think it was the first CGI of all the princess films, right?
Yeah, it was the first one to come out.
And so it was controversial at the time, but it was like
skeptical, but I loved it.
Yeah, that was when we did away with 2D animation.
I'm still sad about that. Like I wouldn't give it. I love it, but if I still want 2D animation.
Well, you've got a series in 2D.
I do
animation.
like the series.
Although it's puppet style.
Yeah,
it's
the
not
series
like...
is kind of like I love. It's still very, very good. Like all the music is still written by Alan Menken, but
Our Rapunzel Land or Tangled Land or however we want to refer to it in the short term before we have an official announcement is...
It's probably going to be Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure or something.
It probably is.
Because
What's the name of the show?
Well, it has... Everything is adventure. Like, so a lot of people are they're announced like Anna and Elsa's Frozen Adventure, and it's kind of like getting old that Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Like, what can we... You guys are some of the most creative minds in the world. Who is thinking of these names?
Yeah, but Phil names all the rides.
Oh my god! It's like they take those fridge words and they're just like rearrange them, and they're like, yes, this adventure.
Adventure.
So
that's the only word we're sure about. Everything else is flexible.
I mean, I get that I can't name everything like Princess something too gendered now, but anyway.
We do have the Snuggly Duckling in this area, which is going to be just straight up the Snuggly Duckling. We know that for sure. It's already called.
I'm excited about that.
We do have the first ever Tangled ride coming in. And I do have something for that too, because they did release the concept art, which I realized you can't really see. It is exactly what you'd expect it to be.
Yeah, I don't want it to be too screeny. I'm hoping it's not. I know for like
that
the lantern
scene
is gonna need the screen.
Well, it also looks exactly like the end scene from the Frozen ride to me. Like that is probably a one-for-one, just copying it over with a little microscopic castle and then the screens with the lanterns on the back. I don't know that for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's gonna be.
Or they use the same technology as Hong Kong's Pirates or Shanghai's Pirates.
With like the dome screen.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping they do a little of both the screen and real lanterns. That would be amazing.
If like they had lanterns, like
come out.
Like they do with that pirate, right? Don't you like go through the actual pirate ship set?
Yeah, you do. There are sections where they have physical sets, and there's admittedly a lot of screens, but there's also animatronics and what. It's more akin to Rise of Resistance, I think, than to anything that we have.
No, I agree. I think this would be a good use of screen, and because I mean I know why they use the screens, but I just don't want it to be like, hey, I'll just watch the movie if you're just gonna put me on a screen ride.
like a big projector.
I am missing a lot of comments, guys. I'm so sorry.
There was a lot of greeting each other in the comments, which is totally fine.
Yeah, we love when y'all engage with each other. Jackson, we will be at Field of Scream St. Patty's Day. I don't think Chad and Venessa will, but we will be. So we're looking forward to that. That's only
one day we'll make it out there.
One day you must. Field of Screams
and you have
to
tell us.
No, you can't just go there. You can't
know,
just walk up and be like, we're just wandering in. Like, no, we're going to give you the tour.
Yeah.
Coaster Mom made it. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi, Coaster Mom.
Oh, actually, Chad and Venessa have been doing all my responding for me. All right, we're good.
Oh my gosh, I haven't even noticed that you guys are typing at all.
This is a good one. Where's Mulan's
recognition? That's so true. There's nothing Mulan.
We had
besides like Mulan.
Mulan the character pops up every once in a while. At DCA we had Mushu during Chinese New Year, but apart from that, the only time I've seen Mulan in the theme parks was Harmonious.
That's true.
The segment of
beautiful
Epcot's former show.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
That's true. Mulan has been
shafted.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. I was gonna say dissed, but that sounds even more like
Yeah, shafted makes it more aggressive.
Can we just have like a Disney just a Disney Renaissance park, like just that?
Yeah.
No, nothing
classics.
else.
So
just that.
You just basically want like early 90s Epcot.
I want everything
carved out and set aside.
I don't know when the Renaissance exactly is, but I think it's like Little Mermaid through Tarzan. I think that's considered Disney.
Oh, you meant like IP. I thought you meant the Renaissance of Disney World, like the parks
I meant Disney. I'm talking about Mulan.
Let's just take everything that was ever good about Disney and put it in one place.
Yeah, no Pixar.
All like the new development.
But then there wouldn't be any Coco.
I would agree with a non-IP Disney park too. Let's just make cool stuff and don't put any characters on it. I would love that.
Once upon a time, wasn't that the plan for like the Disney's, like the park they were going to build in Virginia? It wasn't
Well, it
going to
was
be
gonna be-
Disney IP.
It was
gonna
very
be,
like patriotic.
yeah. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it would have been the greatest park ever, but also didn't that just kind of become the American Heartland Park that we're all looking forward to maybe opening one day?
Yeah.
Basically.
Basically.
So dreams do
It's
come true
happening.
in some ways.
But at least it would have been closer to us here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was thinking. Was like, dang, it would be a lot closer if it was in Virginia.
American Heartland is not
Instead of
close
Oklahoma.
at all. At all.
Like,
But-
why else do you go to Oklahoma?
well, I imagine that's the plan, right?
I'm sorry. I'm sure there's stuff to visit out there. Please, no one come for me.
There's fun stuff in Oklahoma, I'm sure. We just don't know what it is. We know about the American
We
Heartland.
haven't done our
Park,
research.
There is one land / attraction in Fantasy Springs that was announced that I think everyone is kind of feeling very weird about, and that is the
Oh,
Peter
the
Pan
Peter
attraction.
Oh, because it's got 3D glasses.
We were all on board,
Yeah.
and then
No, I
they
didn't
never
notice
noticed that.
released this concept art. Yeah, now it's a
Oh,
3D
yeah.
screen
People are
attraction.
so jazzed to wear 3D glasses too.
And they said it was gonna be like Spider-Man in Universal Studios. That's what they're
Which-
thinking it's gonna be.
I
mean,
like
I like
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man.
but I think screen rides are becoming a little bit played out.
Especially
Mhm.
ones that you have to wear the glasses for.
That
I
would
do
be
love
cool.
some of those things.
I mean, if they do it right, it's gonna be great. Like you're flying through the lands
Yeah.
and whatnot. But
I have more faith in the not foreign, non-domestic parks doing cool stuff
Yeah.
than I do our home parks.
this is the land I'm more excited about. I Peter Pan's my favorite, and so it's
Well, the concept art of the actual like land with
Yes.
Skull Rock and
Yes.
the ship kind of looks
Yeah.
like the old school Disneyland used to
I
have.
was gonna say definitely gave off like that Disneyland area because that became like the lagoon, right? Where they had 20,000 leagues and now it's Nemo.
Eventually, but Disneyland Paris
did it
still
get-
has a Peter Pan like Skull Rock and a pirate ship. It's just kind of merged with Pirates of the Caribbean
Okay.
area. So they took everything pirate related and they kind of mushed it into one area. This is the first Peter Pan themed area that is like straight up just Peter Pan.
yeah.
And there
I'm excited
is,
about it.
I don't have it in the slideshow, but they did announce some details about the Tinkerbell ride too. It looks like that little Toverland.
I think the Tinkerbell ride is actually
Yeah,
really
I'm
cute.
excited for the Tinkerbell ride.
I'm giving
Yeah.
it has like Toverland and also like Arthur the Invisible coaster.
I think
kinda
Arthur's a
vibes.
little bit more thrilling than
Probably.
I
But like
think the Tinkerbell is you just sit in a little car and it takes you. It's
Oh,
it's
it's
an
not-
outdoor dark ride.
I thought it was flying.
No.
Oh, you're not flying.
You're not flying. You're driving through her garden. It's,
Okay, well,
it's
that's so
like
cute, though.
it's like the.
It's
like
gonna
a
be
little-
trackless. It's gonna be trackless, isn't it? Maybe.
I think so.
The
Maybe.
trackless outdoor ride?
I think so. I have
Well,
not.
that's what the
There's so much
Aquatopia is a
stuff
trackless outdoor
on that
ride
track.
at Disney, at Disney Sea.
Okay.
That's what. Yeah, Aquatopia is.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true.
I have not yet had it confirmed or denied what the actual type of ride is. I'm just going from like purely speculation based on
the
the
art
loose
with the
information we
big
have.
flowers and stuff that looks super.
And Luigi's Raunting Roachsters. That's all trackless.
Yeah, that's
Oh
true.
yeah. That is outside too.
That's right. I kind of forgot that was trackless.
But the one weird thing that they announced with Back to the Hotel, apparently that's where the one gift shop for the whole
Oh,
land will
yeah.
be. Which is kind of odd for as much as merchandise is so popular in Japan. Like, you're going to just put it in one spot.
Yeah.
That just seemed odd. Hopefully there's little stores at least.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully there's
there
little
would be
like.
little
I'm sure there are little
kiosks.
stands that will like kiosks.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
if
just
it'll
gonna
be-
get ransacked every day.
That's-
It's gonna be nothing.
That sounds to me like we're trying to push attendance at the hotel.
Yes. Come to the hotel.
I mean, they could
Tim.
have that hotel and give no perks at all, and I guess it sounds like they're gonna give you some perks. So
Our friend Storming Phils knows how I feel about Encanto. The just okayest of all Disney movies.
it is pretty though.
It's
I
very
love the
pretty,
song.
and it has some good music.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's not extraordinary.
extraordinary.
And to John's comment here,
Yeah,
I
said-
love the corporate clip art. metaphor. I'm gonna use that for sure in later life. I do like feeding characters. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I do too.
I think characters are not necessarily a bad thing for a part, but I think too much reliance on IP removes the incentive.
I mean,
to be creative.
also like creating characters.
Yeah.
Like Figment wasn't.
Or like all the
anything.
characters at Dollywood. Like pretty much none of them were linked to anything. They just
like the walking characters.
Yeah. And like things like Orange Bird and Figment and what's the little bee's name? Like you can still create characters. They just don't have to be from Disney movies.
Glasses.
I'm pretty sure everyone is wearing glasses. Yeah.
All 4 of us wear glasses. I hate contacts too. I have them. I don't use them. They are.
Remember how I made the comment about Flight of Passage, that's the worst part, right?
Yeah.
I'm ready when we're getting ready to go down in April to wear my contacts so I can put on 3D glasses and we'll see if it's a better ride.
Oh, I always wear. I mean, I wear the contacts for the theme parks. All
I
the
hate
time,
putting it over top. It
makes a big difference because it really takes you out when the glasses start sliding down your face.
I mean, I hate it, but I am used to it, so it kind of like. It doesn't
I spend
faze me
like
as much.
some rides.
Wait, we're riding it again?
Have my glasses
Maybe.
on like this.
Did you hear me? I said, wait, are we writing it again?
If we happen to write.
My biggest gripe with this Peter Pan thing is that if you all, I don't know if you guys paid attention to the patents that came out for when Universal was announced. This is a whole different topic, right? Because Poseidon's Fury could, at some point, I'm not saying it will, I'm saying, honestly, it's 10-to-1 odds that it will. But it could, based on patents, turn into a Legend of Zelda attraction. Universal and other manufacturers like them have developed the ability for a ride vehicle, like a boat, to go in water and then come up out of water and go on a track and into the sky. And I just feel like even if you did that with Peter Pan, why have 3D glasses on then? That would be cool enough on its own.
Right. Yeah.
They're probably not going to do
I'm
that.
probably going to take my glasses off.
I mean, yeah, you can go with contacts, but I don't know. I just feel like as soon as I saw the glasses, I was like, no, it's going to be Spider-Man again.
Yeah.
Well, like, yeah.
The not good Spider-Man, like
yeah.
the DCA Spider-Man. Web Slingers is just a bad ride. I'm sorry, guys. If you love that ride out there on the internet,
we don't.
I know you guys don't. We've talked about it at length. But anyone who's out there who loves Web Slingers at DCA, I'm sorry. My heart goes out to you.
Actually,
I'm sorry you couldn't experience better rides.
No, I'm not sorry because you are probably just a person who enjoys life more than we do. So just love what you love. I wish I had more enthusiasm for that ride, but to me it stinks. Yeah, Tim's got a great story about special effects contacts that we will not go into today.
That's a whole different thing. Yeah, Big Thunder in Paris doesn't go. I think chamber-wise, like it goes into a cave system that's under the water, but it doesn't go on the water. Like it's not like a hybrid. Yeah. Not like what you call it, Matterhorn, where it like splashes down and comes back up.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
But it does go under into tunnels. It looks so cool.
Is there a 3D upcharge?
Or go into space.
No, you know what it would be?
The Apple thing.
Today, it would be a VR upcharge.
Oh, yeah.
Get on a rocket, and then they put the VR headset on for $35 more. And then you just have no memory of whatever you actually did that day. Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm not the
It's true. It's too much of a workout.
You know, the funny thing is, Ninjago at all the Legoland parks is the same thing. It's the exact same thing. And I actually did like Spider-Man to see, and it's the same motion.
It was what was disappointing because we got on that ride and I was like, oh my gosh, I think this, and we did it before Spider-Man. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think this is going to be Spider-Man. And then we did it and I was like, I hate that ride. And I did. Okay. Go.
Enough.
We have to move on. We have stories to tell.
We have stories to tell.
Poor
Chad and Venessa have been sitting here unable to get a word in edgewise. Okay. So, Fantasy Springs opening this summer. Disneyland, Tokyo Disney Sea. For those interested in traveling, I would highly recommend checking out Chad and Vanessa's channel because they're, as we said, in the middle of a Japanese adventure series that covers a lot of different things, that some of which I think we'll get into in story time too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we've got some stories from Japan today.
Domestically, we have two small pieces of news. I think most people know about them by now. So this isn't like news to any of the hardcore theme players in the US. But Cedar Fair has lost the rights to the Intimidator as an IP. Like the Dale Earnhardt Intimidator license is gone. That impacted Carowinds and it impacted King's Dominion, where we have 305, which I hate. Throwing it out there. I'm never getting on that ride again unless it's with unless I'm there with someone who's never done it before and is dying to do it. I will do it then. But
Did you ever ride it in the dark?
No. Why would I do that?
It's a little better in the dark.
It's better when you can't see the horizon.
You literally you have no control of your body and where you're going.
That's dark. I mean, you don't really have control over that in the daytime.
It was just too intense.
I know what you're saying. It's like the horizon isn't there, so it doesn't you don't get disoriented the way that you normally would. It's more so, it's not rough in the traditional sense, but it's like over intense.
It's like
intense to the point where it's not fun anymore.
Coaster.
Yeah, it's less about like Skyrush. Even if you take Skyrush, which we'll talk about in a second, at Hershey Park, which has always been an intense ride. It's more like a train, like flying down, like you're riding a train and you feel like you're riding a train. Whereas Intimidator 305 always felt to me like you were chained to the front of a comet. And it wasn't relaxing or fun. It wasn't like one of those things that you got off of and you were like, oh, that was really cool that I did that. Unless you were a hardcore, diehard enthusiast.
I wish I had ridden it when I was like 15 instead of 30. Because I feel like I would have felt differently.
I think it is a novelty. It's a novelty.
I don't know. How do you guys? I mean, you guys don't seem to feel as.
Sometimes we'll just if it has no weight, we'll ride it once. It's a one and done for each trip that we go to.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, its name is changing. It's not IO 305 anymore. It's going to be Thunder.
No,
that's right. Carowinds.
I was just going to say, we don't know what 305 is going to be renamed to. We don't even know if it's going to keep with this theme or if it's going to be given its own theme. Carowinds is the only park that has announced what their new ride is.
We liked Intimidator at Carowinds.
Really liked Intimidator.
It's a B&M Hyper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really fun. And
we prefer it more.
Yeah, right now, Tom is correct. Right now, it's under Project 305. We're not sure if that's going to stick.
I feel like they could easily keep the 305. I mean, because that's the height of the coaster, right?
I mean, they could just make it Orion themed, like Kings Island.
I mean, they could easily change the name, I think, to still even be I-305. It could be Incredible
to me, the toughest thing is not so much about the IP itself, because signs are easy to swap out. It's more so like you got to repaint this entire thing different colors if you're going to change the IP drastically. Thunderstriker, it seems to me, that's the logo in the background. It seems to me like they're going to keep
it red.
They're going to keep the track red, would be my guess, but I think they're going to repaint the supports.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think it recently got a paint job.
It's what?
I think the one at Carowinds recently got a paint job, so the color it is what it is right now. I think that's why, because you got the blue and red in the logo.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be. There's nothing about the way the coaster looks that says, yes, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
No.
That's the entryway.
To be honest, there's not a whole lot about Dale Earnhardt Jr. that I look at and I'm like, that's recognizable IP.
Well,
I feel like you could do whatever you wanted and just call it whatever you wanted and it would be fine. But that's the news from Carowinds and from King's Dominion. As Coach Ramon pointed out, right now it's Project 305. No one knows if that's going to stick, but most people are feeling like it won't. It's just kind of like a quiet project
I would be
name.
shocked if they lost 305 in general.
Well, most people, I think, call it I-305. So maybe you just change the I.
That's literally what I said. I said you could call it like Incredible or something else with an I. And how about to say
Incroyable.
Interesting 305.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm
Interesting at 305.
Cousin Phil right here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
this is the
This
big news from
is-
our home park.
Honestly, I mean, as much as Fantasy Springs is cool, this is honestly what I was most excited to hear because it directly affects our experience at Hershey Park.
We have some insider knowledge of Hershey, both because we live so close by and we can actually see things with our eyes every time we go, and also because we have friends who work at the park. So we had a suspicion that this was coming, and it was just the most glorious day when it was formally announced. I don't know if this is a new logo or if this is just something they threw up for a graphic, but this was an official graphic that the park launched.
Yeah.
And if they're changing the logo, this is a very simplified. I'm not sure I love the new logo, but I do love the new.
I like the new logo. I think it is the new logo.
It's giving me like, I feel like a Mountain Dew flavor. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what it's giving me, but I can live with
Oh
that.
no! It is the new logo.
Okay.
Officially.
I mean, Sky Rush does sound like a Mountain Dew flavor, so I think I'm okay with it.
Well, seeing as the park serves Pepsi, it could come.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're right. Oh no, we have the Pepsi Pop Star experience that crashed and burned after one season.
Gosh.
Oh gosh. Now, we didn't really say what it is, so if you have no idea what we're talking about, Sky Rush is getting new ride restraints or new. I don't know if it's new train
Not
in
new
general,
track.
but
Well,
no, not. I didn't say new track.
Not new trains, but new seats.
New seats,
They
new
have
restraints.
installed new seats and new restraints
And,
on the old trains.
This is, Sky Rush is still, I guess, fondly known as Thigh Crush because the restraints would,
And always will be.
after that nice first, less, like, what was it, like, I don't know how many degree it is drop that you get.
I don't know the degrees. I know it's a
But it's-
205-foot coaster. It's an Intamin Hyper.
It's an Intamin Hyper, and the restraint would just continue to squeeze down on you. It didn't really lock. And even though the ride layout itself is fantastic, by the time you're done, a lot of people, especially people who may have some more real estate down here, got what was called the Thigh Crush. You could start to feel like tingling in your legs and toes.
Yeah, it
and
was
sometimes, if operations are not fantastic that day, you're sitting there waiting to get off the ride, and you can't even think about how the fun you had because you just want to get off the ride. So, and it didn't happen to me the very first time I rode it. I was like, people are crazy, and then it's happened to me every single time since. So I'm really excited. I love the layout of Sky Rush. I think it's fun. It's more intense than Candemonium is, but it's really fun. It's got a beautiful spot by that little lagoony thing. I'm excited to get back on it because it's been a while. So now these restraints are going to be more like what we see on Pantheon and Velocicoaster. So
I've only ridden it once.
I've done it
And now
3 or
you'll have
4.
to ride it again.
did you get the Thigh Crush?
Yes, the first
Uh-huh.
time, and yeah.
The thing that I think is going to happen though is with it not being as freeing because there are more bucket seats, you're going to lose that
Airtime.
freeing feel that Sky Rush gives you. Not that I like that feeling. I feel like my shirt's going to fly off by the time it's done. But there's a lot of people that like that. Like they lean forward to get that freeness. And if you're in those bucket seats, I have a feeling it's going to change the feel of the ride a little bit.
It will.
I think it will.
Is it a new coaster credit, Chad?
No, it's just new seats.
There we go. There's a
don't.
test and you
I
passed.
do think it is going to be a little less like free, and I think that is a downside to it. But I do think that
I think the upside is just too up for us to
Yeah.
be bothered by it.
I love comfort in a coaster. I like the thrill, but I also like being comfortable. Like you guys talk about, oh, it's so smooth or whatever. Like I love smoothness and I love comfort and I like feeling safe. Like I like thrills, but I
Yeah.
also like knowing, hey, I'm not going to die.
I mean, it's a different manufacturer, but Candemonium also has clamshell seats that I feel like I'm always flying out of anyway. So,
Yeah.
I know that the Intamin harnesses and restraints are
And
built
I-
a little differently.
and
but
I do feel like all the power of Velocicoaster and Pantheon. I feel like I'm
Yeah.
constantly like, woo!
especially at
going.
the peak of Velocicoaster
So,
when it's coming up.
But
there.
I'm sure there'll be
Top
downsides to it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to get on the ride again. It's been a long time.
I will tell the
Well,
first
no one
story of
will.
the night.
I know, don't know when we're gonna get to it. But yeah, we saw it being built. That was really cool.
Skyrush?
And
Yep.
yeah, Skyrush, and we rode it a few
Opening season.
And I was thinner back then, so I got to ride it. And then the second time, like the second season we went, I gained weight, so I did the walk of shame. And then I lost weight, and I'm like, okay, I get to ride it, but I don't like riding coasters when it's too hot. So I'm like, I'll wait till the spring. And it just never happened.
And then it just kept getting pushed back.
Worse, yes, yes.
This is a perfect segue. I want to tell a really quick story because this is the only chance I'll ever get to do it on time. It's my favorite story from Hershey Park ever. I went with a friend who is low-key a coaster enthusiast, but like hasn't done a lot of traveling to experience other coasters. This is her first time at Hershey Park. We're there. She's been to Cedar Point, which I have not. It's still on our bucket list to go to Cedar Point someday. She's been to Cedar Point. She's been on Millennium Force, which is, of course, roughly 100 feet taller than Skyrush. Different manufacturer, different build, different intensity, but she's been on something much taller. So she gets on Skyrush. We wait for front row. We sit down. We lock her in. We're the only ones in the front row. We're staring at, you know how Skyrush is like you stare directly into the lift hill because it's an almost vertical lift. So she stares at the steepness of the incline and she goes, how high is this again? And I go, don't even worry about it. You've been on Millennium Force. And she goes, yeah, but I blacked out on Millennium Force. I told you that, right? Yeah. And I go, you did? And she was like, yes. And I was like, oh, well, this is going to be really intense for you then. And then we took off.
Wow.
And when we pulled, it was just literally at the top, I just heard a string of profanity all the way down to the bottom.
Oh, man.
And when we finally pulled into the station, of course, both our thighs are crushed beyond recognition. I turned to her and she goes, never again. No. As long as I live, never again.
When we're talking about the freeness of Skyrush, which may or may not be lost in this update, I always think about when we went on with my cousin and her boyfriend, and at the very top of the hill, she put her arms out,
yeah,
like she was flying.
Our photo is.
But then she went. But then she went down, and the forces or whatever. She smacked her boyfriend in the face, and that's the photo. Is like me dodging her hand, and her boyfriend just like, oh
no,
face in the hand.
But
anyway,
welcome.
Love to see you.
Sorry,
too.
not to undercut your story.
No, I'm just laughing at it. I think, is that the end of our theme park?
That's the end of our theme park news.
Good Lord, we haven't even gotten into it.
We got
SpongeBob 10 hours later.
Yeah. It was 42 minutes later, and I'll thank you not to exaggerate. It's gonna be a fun year of theme parks.
Yeah.
For all of us, I think.
We're still excited.
All right. Not that we're going to Tokyo Disney Springs anytime soon, or Fantasy Springs anytime soon, but
yeah, somebody in this group might be before too long, though.
It's true.
I don't know. Is that a secret? Should I not say you guys are going back?
No,
if
we
it's
don't
secret, their Instagram account.
Okay.
It's all over Instagram.
Yeah.
One day. We'll see.
They'll be back. Anyway.
So we will try to be less long-winded about the rest of our evening. I try. I just talk a lot. So the reason we wanted to have Chad and Venessa on this evening is because they have done a lot of travel. We have done a lot of travel. And for the first time in 2023, we both went international and learned a lot. Both groups, sorry, not just like 2 people out of the 4. So we thought that it would be a fun little sit down to do like top 10 travel mistakes. And that can be anything. That can be, I forgot to close the door on my way out. Oops, mark that down as something I don't want to do again because I came home and all my stuff was gone.
I left my 10-year-old at home.
I left my 10-year-old at home. None of us have kids, so that's not on the list. No. And neither is the door thing. I just throwing out an arbitrary thing. But stuff like that impacted us, that made our travel more stressful, that we want to kind of give you the opportunity to save yourselves from, and also some stories we wanted to tell. So, if you guys are ready, I will... Oh, Mitch.
Getting ahead of us, man.
You're ahead of the game.
He knows.
Although Tim would disagree with you. On that.
We will get there. I have some strong opinions. So good thing I've talked so much because now it's Chad and Vanessa's turn.
And we don't talk hardly at all.
Was 5,
Yeah,
right?
this was your first offering.
Yeah, not booking travel insurance.
So
It's a huge
You want me to
mistake.
do it?
Yes, I don't know nothing about travel insurance.
So it's not that we have not booked travel insurance. It's actually more of a success story because we had travel insurance.
Good.
But it is definitely it's definitely an important topic because a lot of people just think, why do I need it? Or they book trips and they've put it on there before and like, I never used it, so they decide not to, and then they get into a situation and they are then having to figure it out. Yep. For us, the biggest to do our story today is more doing with Disney Cruise Line and cruising. We always add it to our package. It's not that much. By the time you're paying for Disney Cruise Line, you might as well add it on for the security of it. And if you followed us for a while, we did our cruise back in 2021 on the Disney Wish during the inaugural year, and it was hurricane season. So what happened was Hurricane Ian, was it?
Ian.
That was going through.
I think it was 2022.
Yeah. Anyhow, when Hurricane Ian was coming through the tropics, through the Caribbean, it basically turned our 5-day cruise into a 7-day cruise. Mm-hmm. And because of that, with the travel insurance, it helped cover it. So that meant I had to change our air information for our airplane. I had to get a hold of the rental car company because we had a rental car and tell them to extend our rental car. We had extra meals because we got off the ship and had to stay in Orlando for a little bit. So we had to pay for food, which also added more food when we got off in Maryland. So we had all these extra expenses that were added on that we weren't expecting. But luckily, because we had travel insurance, we were able to submit all those extra costs to them and they reimbursed us for it. So the little bit of money that the travel insurance added to our trip definitely came out as an advantage.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep.
Oh wow!
I'm glad we had it.
Thinking about all that, because to me, I was like, "Wow, that's so cool! They got 2 extra days on the Wish."
Oh, that was cool. That was amazing.
Yeah, but it was very stressful halfway through, and they were like, "Hey, we're extending it by 2 days," which meant, well, how do I talk to people on land? And so you had to wait in line with everybody else. We waited over an hour and a half to get to a telephone that was at guest services, and then you had to call the airline, and I sat on hold with them for over an hour, and then they got that situated, and then I had to call the rental car company and sit on hold with them. I spent over half a day trying to just reschedule everything while on the cruise ship.
And I believe it was the first time this has happened to them, and I guess they never knew how to handle it correctly because we had to still kept extending our internet package. It wasn't included even after this was told to us. And in the previous ships, the previous sailings, when a storm happened, it was included. Everyone was able to get the internet for free. And I
don't know. There's a bunch of things that they said they were going to allow people to do, but they didn't actually do. And I don't know. But again, this was the inaugural of the Wish, so hopefully they figured things out by this point.
Yeah.
On how to make it more easy for people.
Food they had. Like for the inaugural sailing, you only have as much as you think you're going to need unless you do the prep work.
I think cruise ships, there has to be some sort of hey, we're going to have this much extra.
Like just in case something happens.
Yeah.
I think they carry at least a week's worth for those smaller
because
cruising.
even when we were extended, we still had plenty of food, room service, all the buffet was running. The table, we just went to the table service twice.
Yep.
We ate the same food again.
So definitely with that story is why we recommend travel insurance. We did get it for our Japan trip as well, obviously, and luckily we didn't need to use it. But again, it's just something, especially with cruising, because most of the time you're going to international port, and when you're going international, you're going, in case you need to go do anything with medical, your American insurance isn't going to cover it, or your other international insurance. So
Yeah,
it's always good for just the insurance if you were to have a medical.
Yeah, we've heard horror stories that they like some people on the cruise would need the what's it called, medevac?
The medevac.
The medevac, the helicopter, and they didn't have insurance, and that was super expensive. I'm like, what?
I can't even imagine. You know how much flipping an ambulance costs?
Oh my
and then
gosh.
a helicopter has to come. You have to pay for their fuel.
I will say, when we did do travel insurance for the Netherlands, and I think we chose like a mid-tier package or something that definitely would cover like an ER visit or something like that in the Netherlands. And when we got to like if you die, if this package will ship your body home, and we're like, I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Keep me in the
Yeah, she literally said, honestly, just don't.
Just don't ship me back.
Verbatim, just don't. Just
it is interesting. It is interesting reading the contract in the different lines of like, if we need to send you home, we will do this specifically or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting the different wording they use.
Yeah, like death and dismemberment and stuff like that.
They gotta cover their butts.
But yeah, definitely, I wholeheartedly agree with this story, especially if you're cruising or if you're leaving the country. Even if you're going to like Canada or something, get the travel insurance. Also, you never know when a medical emergency is going to happen here and you can't go, and not every trip you cancel you get fully refunded for, and you could be out $6,000 from a trip you're not even taking.
This is this is an important piece of information here that I think about. Like I watch a lot of vloggers that do like cruises and international travel and whatnot, and I'm always thinking about every time they get off the boat. There's we know people who get off the boat and are told you don't need your passport to get back on as long as you have your cruise ID or whatever. Well, what happens if the boat goes away while you're there because you get back 20 minutes late? How are you going to get home with no passport? So passport or birth certificate or whatever you feel. I mean, I don't necessarily think you need a birth certificate, but something to confirm your identity, especially if you're traveling internationally, is very, very important.
Well, also, if you do get medevac, like that has
you have to have like some basic
too.
ID on it. But.
Anyway, that's a fantastic travel tip.
Mitchie, over here. Mitchie.
We'll just keep rolling that dice for you, man.
Mitch, bud, if you die overseas, we're never going to know about it.
Right. Aw.
All right. So our next topic is a big one for, I think, all four of us. Our biggest mistake, and we are deeply guilty of this because we are very much go people on vacation.
Yeah,
not leaving time for rest.
Yeah, I think we've done this so many times.
It could be any number of stories, really. For us, I think the chief story that I wanted to tell was, and I don't know if Kaylee's still on the live chat, but she can definitely weigh in if so, because this is the Disneyland trip, the April Disneyland trip. We have some great vlogs from that trip, and honestly, like when thinking about it now, like I only remember the good times. I don't think about how absolutely horrible it was to have the world's worst head cold one day after landing in California.
Yeah.
To be fair, I got a little bit cocky on the plane ride over at BWI, whatnot, because this is right after the mask mandates fell away. And I was living the dream of like, finally I don't get like my nose all stuffy with the mask on the plane. I don't have to put it back on in between bites. And I was, doing a travel vlog about, how great this is. Well, the first day was Universal Hollywood. And to be fair, I could have caught anything there. Might have gotten it there. Never will know. But day 2, I started feeling the outside edges of horrible.
Knott's Berry Farm.
Knott's Berry Farm.
I should have known something was wrong when we were in Knott's Berry Farm and you were like, I just don't feel like riding any more coasters after we did.
One coaster, and I was like, yeah, I'm kind of done. I just want to do like slow moving rides today. And Katie and Kaylee were like,
yeah, I mean, Kaylee was okay without the coasters, but I was like, okay, I mean, I'm fine with that. There's still plenty to do at Knott's.
We had a really fun day at Knott's, and I don't want to say we didn't. We also had fun at Disneyland.
But I should have known.
There is this trip was a week long, and we did technically 4 parks if you count both
Universal,
Disney parks.
Knott's, yeah, 4 parks.
4 parks,
And
no
then
rest.
Well, our rest day was the day we were supposed to be moving from one hotel to another, which
Yeah, I made that
gosh.
mistake.
we learned was not restful. It's not restful to
Transitioning.
pack up and hotel hop,
We changed hotels
not
4
be able
times.
to check into your room, and you're sitting there like, well, we can go to the pool without our swimsuits.
4 times over the course of this week, we changed hotels. Once when we went to the Hilton Anaheim, or not the Hilton Anaheim, the Hilton Universal City to stay next to Universal. That was fine. I thought that worked out great. After that, we moved to the Anaheim Hotel, which was a place we'd stayed before, and it was fine. It wasn't a bad hotel, but that's where I started with my fever. When we checked into the hotel, and everyone was gung ho to go to the pool, and on my way to the pool, I was like, guys, it's kind of cold to get in the pool. I might not be down for this. And Katie was like, it's like 60 degrees. Are you sick? And I was like, I don't want to be, but I might be. Then I wasn't hungry for 24 hours, and that's when we really knew something was up.
I knew something was up when you were shivering.
Oh, yeah, the shivers are the worst.
It was bad.
Yeah, that's when I was like, you're going to the CVS Minute Clinic tomorrow.
I had previously, before this trip, I had COVID. I had gotten a breakthrough case because I was fully vaccinated, and I was boosted when I got on the plane too. So it wasn't COVID because we tested for that.
That's why we were feeling so good.
We all tested for that as soon as I got sick. It wasn't COVID. When it got worse and I had 102-degree fever, I went to the Minute Clinic down the street, and they tested for strep and for the flu, and it wasn't that either. So whatever this was, either it was a completely unique pathogen that I'd never encountered before, or it was the common freaking cold. And either way, I was down harder than I had been down in years, and there was no time to rest. We had nothing planned.
Well, you had to rest.
I had to take I took a night off from the parks while Katie and I were like, went out on that. If we had padded a little more actual rest, because as Katie said, like changing hotels isn't restful. We didn't think about the fact that we wouldn't be able to get into the room until 4:00, and we made that our rest day, our resort day. So there was no time to rest. I literally lost out on a day at Disneyland that I had already paid for because I just couldn't do it. I was given the okay to do Disneyland the rest of the week as long as I wasn't feverish after a certain point, which I did, and I wore a mask and
I think
tried to keep to myself.
You didn't have another fever after that one night.
That first night was horrible, but the rest of the week, it's not like I felt great. I felt miserable most of the week. I'm glad that I wasn't so sick that I was dying, but that was the worst I felt in a long time. And if we'd had a little more rest, I think it wouldn't have been as big a deal.
Yeah. You guys have I don't know if Japan falls into this category, but maybe we should have rested a little bit more story.
This is also true, time difference.
Oh, yeah.
So that kind of runs into a topic item that I thought of on my drive home from work today. I was like, that was a topic I wanted to cover. And this kind of goes into it, I guess. It was, don't overpack your itinerary, which leads into making sure you give your time rest, because when I was planning our trip, I basically have a spreadsheet that is hour by hour of everything we had to do. Because of having to take public transportation, you have to make sure that you catch the trains when you needed to catch them. So we were doing our best to pack in as much as we could in areas we were at. And the days that were actually I felt was the most rewarding or the best, I guess, is when we had like one topic to cover. So it was like when we were at Kinosaki Onsen, we were there to experience the onsens. When we were at Universal, it was a day at Universal, or at Disney or whatever. But when we were jumping from place to place to place all day long, it's best to either give yourself multiple days in one location, or just don't pack your schedule as much. It's more fun.
Yeah.
And what's funny is there is a subreddit called Travel Japan, I believe, and what they would describe our itinerary as basically like running the Amazing Race. It's the Amazing Race itinerary where you're just constantly moving. And I felt that way when we finally went from Tokyo all the way down to Fukuoka and finally made our way back to Tokyo. And I knew we have made it to where we can catch our airplane no matter whatever happens. We are in the right city. I felt like I had just ran the Amazing Race Japan edition.
Yeah,
Definitely times I almost felt like out of breath watching like how much you guys were going for that trip.
Well, you also had a lot more, like our Disneyland trip, we covered a lot of parks, but they were all pretty close together. You guys were literally like continent crossing, like all over the place.
Country.
And you know us, we don't usually do that. At Disney, we like don't rope drop. We take 2 rest days and be at the resort and we chill. But since we're going to another part of the world, we felt like we had to see everything, and that was a big mistake.
And if anybody's wondering, like the length from where we were in Fukuoka to Tokyo is the same as covering basically from South Carolina to basically Pennsylvania, like our area. So it's basically like from us covering Florida to here. It's like, oh, I'm going to go to Orlando and I'm going to take the train all the way and stop my way all the way back home.
Except we don't have a bullet train on the East Coast.
Yeah, we don't have any.
Yes, I wish we had train service in the U.S.
to travel.
At some point, there was supposed to be a bullet train between Washington and Baltimore, but that won't help me.
Well,
because I could just drive there in an hour.
I won't get into it, but there's also so much more. Like we can't just take a country that has no infrastructure for that and it's all like bulldoze neighborhoods and forests to build one.
Well, they're trying.
Yeah, they wanted to.
People are naturally a little bit more resentful towards that.
Bright Link's trying in Florida, and then they're also going to go over to the West Coast. Apparently, they're doing a high-speed train between Las Vegas and LA. That'll take.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Well, I feel like there's probably some blank space across the Midwest
Now, what should work well with that one is if they build brand new track for that, they can keep at constant speed. When I've seen videos about the Brightline, I don't want to say Brightline, they are still using the freight train tracks just like Amtrak does. So in the areas that's their track, they can go super fast. But then all of a sudden, when they have to go onto the public tracks, they become secondary, just like Amtrak has to become secondary to freight. And they kind of have to stop over, let freight go, and keep going. So it seems just like Amtrak, if you're going during the day hours, you have to watch yourself. If you go at night, apparently the Bright Link is better on the off hours.
See, that's the other thing about building anything like this in America. Pretty much everything American made is secondary to everything made everywhere else. So you can count on infrastructure crumbling at the outset.
Just like if we have no infrastructure. So like when we're building.
But we have you could just line the Grand Canyon with railroad tracks and just cut through there.
Sure. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with that.
High-speed bullet train doing.
Oh gosh.
Someone is not an engineer, and that's okay.
One day I will be.
It'll be like Boulder Dash at Lake Compounds.
The credit they still
need. Your children's lives when I'm an engineer. All right.
Which
is a good segue.
Story from Chad and Venessa.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So talking about trains, this is a good segue here.
Good segue, yeah.
So
yeah. Oh, you ready? Oh.
Yeah. No, you're ready.
Not sure how to start this. So the topic is make sure to pay attention to your transportation. So our story is when we were leaving
Osaka? Nagoya?
Nagoya, yeah. So after we were done, so this also plays into things of the way our itunerary was built on top of each other. So we didn't stop in Nagoya on our way through to Atsuki. So it was kind of, when we left from Osaka, we went from Osaka to Nagoya to do Ghibli Park, and then we went from that same day, was making our way over towards Tokyo to be at Atsuki, which is outside of Mount Fuji. When we were done at Ghibli Park, we made our way back to Nagoya Station, and we had some time to kill, so we grabbed our lunch or dinner for the evening, and we were waiting in the departure room, waiting for the departure sign to say that our train was coming on our assigned track. Well, when it came up on the board and said, hey, your train is approaching, go to the track, we decided to do what it said. We went upstairs, and the train was sitting there. I was like, okay, it's supposed to be arriving, but it's already here. Let's get on. Well, we didn't pay attention until we were on the train and moving that the train number on the train was not our train,
No.
which means we had accidentally got on the wrong train. Luckily, though, the train was going in the correct direction, not the opposite direction. But it was the slower train. It wasn't the faster
It was
of
like the
the
local
trains.
train.
So it stopped at more of the local stops, where the train we were supposed to be getting on was an express train, which we're supposed to stop every little bit. So because we were on the more slow-moving train, we weren't going to make our connection in Yokohama.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, luckily, technology came very handy, and I was able to start frantically looking through to see where we needed to go. That also meant that we had to wave down the conductor, which now we have a language barrier to go through between him to explain. So that's, again, where technology came helpful, of using Google Translate to say, we got on the wrong train, showed him our ticket. Luckily, he was able to pull up on his little tablet that there were seats available on this train, and we were going towards Tokyo, and he was able to point us to open seats. So luckily, we were able to not have to be thrown off. I was expecting for him to be like, "You're on the wrong train. At the next stop, just jump off,
Get off,
and figure it out." But luckily, it was more of, "You're okay. You're headed in the right direction. Just move back one row. That seat's not taken, and I'll assign those to you." And once I was in our assigned seats, again, using technology allowed us to see, well, if we go to stop at Yokohama on this train, is there any trains that will get us to where we need to be at Atsuki outside of Mount Fuji? And I determined that late at night, it wasn't going to happen, but there were a couple trains that were going to leave from Tokyo by the time we made it to the Tokyo station. And it worked out that I was able to then have to use Google Translate to talk to the conductor and say, "Hey, can we stay on this train instead of getting off where we were supposed to, can we get off at Tokyo?" And he said, "Yeah, that's fine." So then we were able to make the connection in Tokyo, which was another headache.
Yeah.
So because the train we could catch there without taking local trains, which would have took twice as long to get on the express train, we had to get reserved seats. Luckily, when we got to where the train was, there was a ticket station at the train platform.
The train was already there.
And we had basically 60 seconds to buy a ticket for the reserved seats and get on the train. There were people standing in front of us that were trying to figure out did they want to get on the train or not. And I'm like, why are you trying to decide this now?
Because they wanted to sit next to each other. But when you don't reserve ahead of time, you're
wherever you can
wherever
get. So while we were waiting, I looked over and I said, "Okay, that's train car 5. Let's pick 5." So once they decided to move out of our way, I quickly hit English and was able to get through the system, hit 5, hit 2 seats, swipe the credit card, and then it decided to process. I'm like, "Come on, this train's going to leave." The tickets finally print. I grab them, and as we're jumping on, it's that whole movie scene where the doors shut behind you and we start moving.
That was ridiculous.
So the moral of the story is if we would have paid attention to the train sitting in the track where our train was coming and noticed it wasn't our train, we needed to wait for that one to leave so that our train would have came in behind it and we would have been on the correct train. So be sure to pay attention not only on trains, but on buses or any type of transportation that has an actual number or signal on it that you're getting on the right transportation.
Yeah, I need to get better at that because I 100% rely on Chad because I am horrible with directions. I'm okay with Google Maps, but he's the smart one here. And so I wasn't paying attention. I was just following along, okay, we're getting on the train.
I would have 100% done the same thing if Tim was like, "This is our train, get on." I would have got on the train.
Yeah, me too.
I wouldn't have questioned it. I probably wouldn't have double checked it. I do love knowing that you guys were safe and, didn't get stranded somewhere and still got to carry out the rest of your itinerary. I can confidently say this, when that editing in the video where that sound, you're like, "This is the wrong train." I laughed so loud. I was like, "Oh."
So you probably don't know where that's from, but that's from The Amazing Race when something bad happens.
Okay.
So when at the time I was editing that video, we were trying to catch up on the newest season of The Amazing Race. And when that sound came on, I'm like, I need to use that when we get on the wrong train. Because when the people, obviously, if you watch Amazing Race, when people do something they think is correct, they obviously make the noise to let the audience know they've done something wrong. And that's why in my edit, I'm like, oh, we're getting on our train. And that's why I'm like, dun, dun, dun.
It was so just a little nod to our love for that show.
Well, I think that was brilliant.
Did you guys? So were you like sitting like down the car from one another by the time?
No, we had to just do aisle.
Aisle. So yeah, we still got aisle, which was remarkable.
Now,
why
if those people
before you have taken their seat?
They wanted to sit.
I would have just been like, just pick two and get.
So I sat next to a local Japanese businessman, and I was watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and he kept on glancing. He's like, "What is this lady watching this very manly show, anime?" Like that's all I was thinking, but it was great.
Now the other option would have been is if those people didn't move, we were just going to jump on, because apparently on that specific type of express train, as long as the light over the seat is not red or yellow,
like airport parking.
Yeah.
You can sit in it. So basically, I was going to say we're going to get on here and we're just going to seat hop, because before it gets to the next station, if someone's going to take that seat, it changes the yellow from green to yellow, and then when someone sits down, it changes to red. So basically, yeah, it's like airport parking or in a parking structure. So I was like, we're gonna seat hop if we have to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not missing this train.
and what I fail in directions, I'm really good at calming him down. So he was really nervous, and I was like just thinking like it's gonna be okay. And I just also jumped to the worst scenario possible. If we happen to get stranded, we have money. We have there's probably going to be hotels we could find. We're going to have plenty food around us. It's going to be okay. But it worked out for the best.
Yeah, I expected that we were going to get stuck. At least I told her, I said, if we're going to get stuck anywhere, I'd rather get stuck in Tokyo, because there would have been more options to get a last minute hotel compared to Yokohama. So I'm like, let's at least get to Tokyo, and then we would figure it out. But luckily, we caught the connection to get to the hotel we needed to get to.
One of our travel weaknesses, this isn't a mistake so much, it's just something we need to work on, but we have a tendency to amp each other up. Like when one of us is stressed, it stresses the other of us out. And we get just keep ping-ponging back and forth, like worst case scenario. Oh, worser case scenario. Oh
no,
worser case scenario.
It depends on what the thing is. Like,
well, that's what I was gonna say. In this specific scenario, I feel like, I think anyone who's not at this point in their life missed a train and doesn't know like the panic of like realizing being on the wrong train is a whole different type of anxiety, don't get me wrong. But I have, at one point in my young adult life, I have missed a train back to my college campus out of New York City. It was the last train of the night, and I spent the night in New York Penn Station. So at that point, I feel like any train I miss from this point forward, at least the station is a little nicer than New York Penn Station. Because I was just like camped outside the bathrooms like this for 6-7 hours until the train started running.
You missed the train to head back home?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Okay. You missed the train to head back.
You missed the last New Jersey
train.
Okay.
College in New Jersey.
I went to school in New Jersey, like right on the New Jersey-New York state line. So we would always
stuff, right?
Yeah, it was before Uber.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
we all
that's how I think.
Into the city, because the New Jersey Transit Station was at my college campus. So we would just, for the weekends or for any time we had something to do in the city, just take the train. It was like 40 minutes and we'd be there. And we all had like the New Jersey Transit like swipe cards.
Gotcha.
I just misread the schedule and I missed my last.
Yeah, that's how I think. Like, even if it's like this was before, like with Uber now, even though it's gonna cost a lot of money, we're gonna be able to get home somehow with Uber or Lyft now.
Eventually. Well, that's eventually too. My mantra, and this is good for all 10 of our lessons really, is like 24 hours from now, probably everything is going to be okay. If I have like a panic attack in the moment, I'm like, 24 hours from now, I'm probably not even going to be thinking about this. So it'll all work out. I just have to figure out what to do in the next 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. Like Mitchie said, it's good to have a calm sense of.
I don't feel like. I hope I don't always amp you up in moments of panic.
Sometimes we amp each other up. on situations
I think
where I don't have a plan B, which is something that will.
Yeah, when I was thinking, when I think this has nothing to do with trains, but I feel like I have to defend my honor a little bit.
I'm not picking on you.
No, but like when we were with Mitchie at Halloween Horror Nights and it was pouring down rain and you were having that moment where like this vlog's gonna stink, I can't do anything.
That's a whole different kind of anxiety.
It's just raining and we can't do anything. And I'm like, we're having fun, we're with our friends.
That is perfectionistic anxiety. It's a whole different class. That's when I'm like, this vlog is going to be trash.
I wasn't sitting there going, yeah, it's trash and we're trash and everything is trash. I was like, no, we're having fun. Also, yeah, I just need Mitch to be there anytime we are getting a little hyped up because he is chill.
We should just pack Mitch in a suitcase and bring
he calms everyone down.
Although I will say I'm definitely, with this comment, I'm definitely the hangry one.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
If you hit my limit,
I will just say,
you need to feed me.
I will just say very, very quickly on that subject that, hold on, it's very important that we be large so I can communicate this. When Katie says, I'm hungry, we have approximately 45 minutes to do something about it before she becomes an entirely different person. This impacts our vlogs often because you will often say, I'm hungry while I'm filming something. And I will be
that means you better stop.
Do I have enough time?
Yeah, that's me.
But you need a Snickers.
Yeah,
you're not you.
I'm not you when I don't like Snickers though, which is funny. But I like that. I like that mantra, motto. What is it? Slogan? That's probably.
You're not you when you.
You're not you when you're hungry.
Yeah.
All right.
Next one.
So, not doing preliminary homework. There's a couple different stories we could tell, and there's a lot of different takeaways from this particular phrasing too.
Or not doing enough preliminary homework.
I think we're both thinking of the same one. I didn't tell you which one I was going to tell, but I'm 100% confident that the same one jumps to both of our minds. So when we say not doing homework, we can mean you didn't research what the culture or the custom was. It could mean you didn't look at the weather forecast. In this case, we didn't look at the hotel website.
Oh.
Oh.
This was traveling
locally. Yeah, this was a huge thing. This is the dumbest thing I think that we've done.
This is assuming I knew what resort casual meant, even though I didn't know what resort casual meant.
For those who did not see our Hershey Park New Year's vlog, which is kind of came out late because we were a little bit discombobulated. I got my wisdom teeth out, whatever. It didn't do very well. So probably a lot of you have not seen it. But we stayed at the Hotel Hershey, which is a very expensive, kind of posh property in the Hershey Park area. I know Storming Thrills, Tim will know it very well. It is the original Hershey Resort. And we had been waiting for an opportunity to stay there because we'd heard a lot of good things about it. It was just way out of our price range for a really long time. And we thought, hey, maybe New Year's weekend, when the park is about to close, we'll have, and it was a little bit cheaper to book it, so we just booked it. We went in. All this time, while we were leading up to this weekend, we were thinking, it's a little bit expensive, but it covers it gives us a place to stay. It's right near the park. It's right near downtown or wherever. We're going to have a nice time. We had actually planned to do a Hotel Hershey resort vlog. That didn't happen. We get there. Number one, we don't understand check-in policy. I thought I had a good grasp on what the check-in policy was. It turned out to be the holding fees for the room were higher than expected, and I embarrassingly had to juggle through all of my credit cards, making sure But
he also
I misheard.
He misheard, and he thought the holding fee for the room was $1,000 more than what he actually said.
It was still higher than anticipated, and if I had read the email when I booked it, I would have understood that it was a little bit higher than usual for a classier
But it wasn't
hotel.
$1,200.
It wasn't $1,200, but. It's already awkward and embarrassing to be flip. Does my limit accommodate this? So on and so forth. Especially when you're supposed to be a veteran traveler that is used to staying in hotels and can typically kind of feel this stuff out before you get to the concierge stand.
But we also just looked like schmucks.
We walked in like
jeans.
Disney t-shirts and ripped jeans, and everyone around us is wearing like glam dresses and like suits with ties, and at the very least a collared shirt. And we didn't have any of that.
And we tried that night to like find something to eat at the hotel, which there is like a very not bad. We had it later, like kind of quick service place, but
we made it work.
You weren't interested in that, but we went around to like every restaurant and we were like, there is a dress code here, and we are obviously not up to that standard.
Every restaurant on property except for the quick service takeaway. Every single thing in that hotel, and there were like 4 or 5 different dining establishments. They all had a lunchtime and a dinner time dress code, which was at the base level resort casual. We thought we knew what that meant when we packed. We didn't bring a single collared shirt. We didn't bring khakis. We were there for a good time, not a fancy time. And so we show up and we look inside. Like, I'm just like peering around the corner to see if like, am I going to be able to get away with
like, there's people wearing jeans in here. And he's like, I'm not stepping foot in that restaurant.
Yes, but they're still wearing collared shirts. Like,
and I didn't have a single shirt without someone's face or something on. I was like, every shirt I had logos, because we were just prepared for like park days and a fun day out. I was so embarrassed. We left like this through the side door. We tried our best not to walk through the lobby again.
We never had to walk again where we could help.
And people did remind us it was New Year's Eve weekend. Some people were going to like fancy New Year's Eve parties, so they're probably not always dressed like they're going to an Oscars after party. But when you walk in looking like we did, you're like, I don't belong here.
I think I would say that the hotel experience we had at Hotel Hershey was pretty good. It wasn't like a bad stay or anything, but for how expensive, this is another thing, for how expensive it was when we checked in and for like how much we paid to stay there, to like immediately feel like trash, just kind of took the wind out of our sails a little bit. So like the next day, we had planned to be out and about, like vlogging the hotel property and whatnot before New Year's. And that didn't happen because we were like, I just don't want to leave the room, to be honest. I just want to sit in here and be gross and just like enjoy the nice amenities. And it also turned out to be a much bigger property than we anticipated, because you can't see much of it from the front. So
we did go out and do like the Hershey Gardens.
We did.
The Christmas trees, because the gardens in wintertime are kind of dead.
Yeah.
But it's nice to walk.
We did a lot of fun stuff, but it was, I mean, and to continue this, doing your homework, we also didn't check the weather forecast within 48 hours. We did leading up to the actual stay, but
even within 48 hours, it still said no rain.
It switched to rain in the middle of the day, and we didn't have an umbrella. For the first time in years in our car, we did not have an umbrella. So we were out there filming, getting the camera soaked through.
Getting us soaked through.
We sat in the car for like 2.5 hours. Anyway, do your homework. I know a lot of people.
You know what resort casual means, you probably don't. So just look it up and make sure.
I like this, Tim, but Katie won't like this advice.
I think I like Mitchie's advice. As funny as it sounds, I always pack at least one nice button up just in case. I think that's good advice.
Definitely do that now.
Because one nice button up is not overpacking.
I know that Chad and Venessa said peace out to our friends while we were watching, but
thank you.
Mandarino, thank you for joining. It's Mandarino, right, guys? I don't want to mispronounce. Mandarino, okay, yeah. Mandarino Adventures, thank you for joining us. I know you're already gone, but we appreciate you.
I'll let her know.
Okay, now on to y'all's hot topic.
Oh,
yes.
Your turn.
Spill the tea.
I'm a horrible storyteller. So we had just gotten off the Disney Wonder 2019 to Cabo San Lucas, and we had ordered an Uber. Yes, it was an Uber extra large, I believe. Whatever it was on sales. Sometimes they have sales. And we got everything ready into the car. We were heading towards Disneyland. We're set and ready to go. We're tired too. It was a 5-night. And when we got off the Uber,
we didn't take it all the way.
Where did we take it to? I forgot. up, babe. This is like a few years ago.
This was pre-pandemic. Our brains are fried.
Yeah.
So we took the lift from the cruise port in San Diego to the rental car pickup at the San Diego airport.
Oh yeah.
So we had larger bags, so we had to get the Uber XL. Our stuff was in the back of his SUV. So when we got out to get our rental car, Vanessa got out at the same time I did to go around back to get our luggage, our big luggage, but she had left her backpack, which was basically her purse at the time, in the back seat of the guy's car.
I just got off all willy-nilly, like, come on, let's go.
So then we got the rental car. We drove all the way to Anaheim. We were getting ready to go into a store and actually lunch. We were getting ready to go have lunch. And she's like, oh, let me grab my wallet. And she goes to look for the backpack, and the backpack was not in the rental car. And that's when all of a sudden we had to try to get on the app, try to get a hold of the guy. I call him. He's like, yes, I have it. It's like, okay, so how do we get it back? And he's like, do you want to come for it? And it's like, well, we're currently in Anaheim. How are we going to make it back to San Diego? I said, well, let me talk to Uber or Lyft, whoever it was, to see what their policy is. So I talked to them. They basically said that they could send him a mailing label or something, so to his email address with his account, they would pay for it to be shipped to us. So basically I told him, I said, okay, what you need to do is get a hold of them, let them know you're going to mail this backpack back to us. They're going to give you a mailing label, and you can ship it off. He's like, I don't have time for this. I don't need to do it. If you're not going to come for it, I'm just going to throw it in the trash.
Yep.
And so basically Vanessa's like, the first thing we did though was make sure we basically all of her debit card and all that, we went into the bank to make sure those cards were locked down, everything that couldn't be used. But I went back and forth with the guy. Basically, long story short, I have a friend who lives in San Diego that we saw prior to the cruise. I got a hold of him and I said, look, this is the situation. Would you be willing to meet him somewhere to get our bag, and then we will pay you to ship the backpack to us here? And he's like, sure. So not even thinking about we might be putting our friend, I was putting my friend maybe into danger. Yeah. He then he's like, okay, have him meet me here. So the guy agreed to meet my friend at that location. He said the transaction went just fine. The guy gave him the backpack and just drove off. And my friend then mailed us the backpack. But it comes down to be sure to double check yourself, double look back where you're at, that you have everything before you step away, so you don't end up with something in worse situation.
Yeah. That was. I felt really defeated when we were talking to him. He's like, no, I'm not going to do this. Like, he had no care in the world.
Yeah, he basically got to the point where he was about to just stop talking to me when he was like, if you don't come with a solution, I'm just going to throw it away. Yeah. And I'm like, I have to do one more thing to try to get this bag back. And that was like calling my friend.
And he's like, are you going to pay me for my time lost because I have to do this for you all? And then I think at some point he said he was going to charge us $50 to send it off. And we know it does not cost $50.
Like, if he was just like, I got you, man, you guys could have tipped him or something for the trouble. But instead he was like,
star.
Instead of, yeah.
I think we had already tipped him by then.
Yeah.
I'm with Coach. Did you guys let Uber know about this?
Yes.
No more than just asking them what their policy was of getting the bag back. I never really said anything otherwise because
we should have. We didn't think about it.
Not too late.
Yeah, I understand. Like in the
3 years, 4 years later.
Right. Yeah. Find him.
Probably not even driving for Uber anymore.
I've never, as far as I know, I didn't leave a whole backpack behind. Although that story did make me think of that episode of Spin City that we watched like a couple weeks ago, where they leave the dog in the taxi and it drives away. Spin City, great 90s show. I've told the story about how I lost my phone in Disneyland. I was able to get that back. I left my, very, expensive dental retainer in Alani when we left, because we didn't I didn't idiot check the one drawer.
Where we put it.
Yeah, where I left it behind, and we were like on our way to like the airport, and he's like, "Do you want to turn around?" I'm like, "No, it's fine."
It's gone.
And he's like, "I think they'll mail it." I'm like, no, they'll just throw it away because it's been in my mouth, and that's gross. So I did have to spend like $1,000 to get a new retainer.
Is that what? Oh my gosh.
Now on the other hand, when we were in Japan, we left. We have a travel white noise machine that Vanessa has that we use, and we left it behind in the Airbnb in Fuji.
Yeah.
And so I also get a message from the guy. He's like, "Hello, you left a wireless speaker behind. Do you want it back?" And I'm like, "Vanessa, do you have the white noise machine?" She's like, "No."
No.
And this was after we got that was while we were still in Japan.
Yeah.
He's like, "Because if you want it, I will mail it to you." And I'm like, "Don't worry about it. The cost of you mailing it, or even us paying you to mail it, is going to be more than just buying a new one later." I said, "Just don't worry about it." He's like, "Okay, I will throw it away." I'm like, "Why not just make it an amenity in your room?"
Yeah.
Well, hold on, now it's not worthless.
So wait, Katie, they didn't return your retainer?
She didn't bother.
I didn't bother with it. It's not like I could have reported it and had them like send it to me, but I was embarrassed about it, and I didn't want anyone like feeling like they had to touch a dental appliance for me. It's the one I had since I was like 15, so my dentist told me, it was like, we probably would have recommended replacing this anyway, but because you're 30 and not 15 anymore, insurance doesn't pay for an adult to get a retainer, because apparently that's a childish thing to have, like braces and stuff. Anyway, we won't talk about health and dental care in America because that's frustrating.
Yeah. It is very frustrating.
This live stream has not been very pro-America so far.
Well, we're talking about all the places we travel outside, and there's problems everywhere. But
I find that very interesting because I used to housekeep for Yacht and Beach Club at Disney World, and when we would find an item, we would take it up to the front of the desk, write down the information, the room, the person, and we would contact. Someone up in the front desk would contact you guys. So I was surprised that no one found the retainer.
As far as I know, we never
contacted us. But
it's probably at property control for sale to somebody else.
Oh my gosh! Property control cast members.
Listen, island imports are expensive. If you can get a retainer at half price, I say go for it.
It was also in like a very like unofficial looking like Tupperware kind of thing, because I lost the case for it a while ago. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just thought it was trash.
Tossed it. Yeah.
It might still be there if they didn't look.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
With the way some housekeeping is now.
Yeah.
I also left my phone in our car when we got on the shuttle, the airport shuttle that one time, and you had to go back and get it.
Yeah, but we made our flight. That wasn't the end of the world.
But still, like the guy.
Oh wow!
Now that a person in Uber.
Well, Mitch. Speaking of Mitch, he was with us when I left my cell phone in the locker for Velocicoaster because we had to use the big locker in the store. And so I threw my backpack in, and I emptied my pockets, and I just threw my phone into the locker. And we went ahead and pulled everything out, and I went to get my phone out, and I'm like, "Where's my phone?"
Because it was in the front of the other side.
So basically it was on the ledge on the inside, like this.
Oh, wow.
So we pull everything out, and I look in.
Back.
Yeah. So I look in, I'm like, it's obviously it's super dark. It's like, okay, it looks empty. Shut the door. Well, unfortunately, those are a single-use locker in there where you open it, you're done. So I go to the cast member or the team member, and I said, "Hey, I left my phone in the locker." And he's like, "Which one was it?" And I'm like, one of these.
One of the blue ones.
One of the yellow ones on this wall.
And so he goes and opens up the panel, and he just starts opening it one at a time across. And Mitch luckily had a flashlight with him, and he's like, "There it is." So kudos and thanks to Mitch again for helping me find my phone, because I was like trying to find my iPhone, but because it's basically in a metal box, it wasn't picking it up. And I'm like, I know it's in there. I want to make a noise, but it won't do it.
We're ready to give up and leave.
Mitch is our like comfort blanket.
Yeah.
So this is why now every time I do use a locker at a theme park, I make sure to use a flashlight, or first make sure I have my phone, and I use my phone light to make sure there's nothing else in there.
It's not a bad 11th
I'm
lesson.
sure we've left something in like a Universal locker or SeaWorld locker or something before, because we're in that habit now too, where we have to share.
No, Richard, no. We would
You left a very good impression.
No. Oh my god. That was our first time that we met. Yeah.
I'm gonna gloss through this one a little bit because it plays into some of the stuff we've already talked about. When I say not having any backup plans, for our part, that typically means things like when something goes wrong outside of your control, what are you going to do about it? The mistake that I think, and honestly, there wasn't a ton we could do about it that I can think of, save for the fact that if we had thought about how this could go awry, we would have probably moved our flight a little bit earlier. When we went to Disneyland, the same trip that we all got sick on, before we got there, we were waiting at our gate. Our flight had already been pushed back a couple of hours before we actually got to the gate. And that was fine because we had a couple days heads up. So we knew that was going to happen. But we knew at that point that because of the time change, we were getting in, actually the time, you get time back going to the West Coast. So even with the time change, I guess, or in spite of the time change, we were still getting in at like 8 o'clock at night into LAX when we were flying from Baltimore. If y'all aren't familiar with LAX, it is the most chaotic airport ever created out of any country in all the world. The only one that might be worse is Charlotte, which we won't even fly into
Charlotte
anymore.
was under construction.
LAX is bad, but it's not unmanageable. So we were like, we got a direct flight to LAX, so that's where we're going to go. We're still probably of that mindset, but now we plan better. This particular day, we were pushed back late. We were getting in around 8 o'clock if everything went perfectly. Unfortunately, we were also boarding the plane with an entire high school marching band, all of whom had ginormous tubas and mellophones and stuff that was stored underneath the plane. And what happened was that we were sitting at the gate for almost 2 hours while the flight attendants and the crew tried to figure out, everyone has legally checked their items, but the plane is way overweight because we have tubas and stuff in the
But they were
hold.
asking people, they were like, we need 5 passengers to pick a different
we need
flight.
bodies off this plane. We cannot fly everything the way it is. And so by the time they eventually, we obviously couldn't drop off because we only had this one plane to get there. We had hotel to check into. We had our plan itemized out. Similar to how you guys did Japan, we had everything itemized out to the hour by the time we touched down. And we're already behind schedule. So, of course, we're not shifting our flight to tomorrow. We get on the plane after everything is finally resolved. We fly. We make good time, but it's still a 6-hour flight. So we get in. We get a little bit of time back. It's not enough. Everything is closed. All of the food that we could have stopped off and got. In-N-Out Burger was open, but it was like 11 o'clock, and the line was
so long.
all the way around.
Yeah.
We also had to go get a rental at LAX, which was always part of the plan, but added like another 2 hours after we touched down.
Wow.
So by the time we got into our hotel, which was not that far from LAX, it was later than 1:30 in the morning. Nobody has eaten anything. And what we wound up eating, we were traveling with our friend Kaylee, and she brought a bunch of like airplane snacks.
She had like a bag of airplane snacks. We had leftover
Sour Patch gummy worms.
Southwest snacks. And I think we may have found a vending machine.
Yeah, there was a vending machine like
we could get
upstairs.
like cookies or something.
We got like cookies, Sour Patch gummies, and Cheez-Its, and that was our dinner. And we woke up feeling just miserable at 6 a.m. the following morning because of the time change.
Oh my god.
So,
that was when like the pilot took off. I swear we were going like our trajectory was like when we took off.
We did a rolling start. We did about a 5-minute taxi and then a rolling start the second the door closed.
That pilot was like, we're 2 hours late. We're gonna get there early.
I think the pilot had somewhere to be as well. I don't think it was a coincidence that we just took off.
It was funny, but
that was so. Henceforth, and because of that experience, since that experience is a better way to set it up, we now take red-eye flights where we either leave in the middle of the night and get there early in the morning, or we leave really early in the morning and we get there at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
We don't ever leave
It's
at
an
the
8 a.m.
convenient time
flight,
again.
but if it gets pushed back to 10, we're still going to get there at some point during daylight. So.
And this has played into other travel plans we've made at this point where we were like, we could leave at 6 p.m. and get there at 2 a.m. and it'll be $100 cheaper. But if one thing goes wrong, we're not making it in on time and we're not getting to our hotel on time. And we're just going to pay the $100. We're going to go for the earlier flight. And now we leave at like 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. It's fine.
We also, this does not have anything to do. We're never making any sort of reservation except for like a rental car reservation, but no food reservations, no activities planned on the day. We did that once. Mistake.
Well, generally we don't even do the first day anymore. Like when we get in and we like get situated, usually the day after is our chill day.
But I'm pretty sure we had like one of our first like Disney trips post like 2020. We were like, oh, we'll have dinner here, and it was like
flight was delayed and we had to cancel on the fly, and we had to go up to literally go up to the desk to cancel the reservation because otherwise we were going to be charged the cancellation fee. Anyway, lots of lessons to take away from that story, but the main one is have a plan B wherever you can, because you will often need it. This one applies to all of us, but you guys were the ones who brought it up.
Yeah, you have a story to tell.
Well, we seem to kind of make the mistake often, I guess.
Yeah.
We're trying to do our best to make sure to have something on hand, which is what you've learned from this mistake with the airplane. But for the most part, when we got started with our trip in Japan and working our way across from Kurume to Amagase, obviously, if anybody's watched our video, you may have saw that our breakfast, we had to throw it away due to the fact that our refrigerator was turned off in our hotel room. So we didn't actually have the ability to have breakfast that morning. So by the time we made it to Amagase, which is a town trying to rebuild from a flood, we couldn't get food there either. So we kind of were hungry by the time we made it to Hida without having breakfast.
Yeah, all we had was a protein bar
that I luckily still had in my bag from the airplane because I was unknowingly knew that
we didn't even have a full-blown protein bar each.
Because we took it just in case, thinking, oh, we don't know when dinner is on the airplane, so we'll take a snack with us for the airplane. But when you fly with at least ANA internationally, they are constantly coming around with snacks or dinner or drink or something. So it's like you don't get off this airplane or ride this airplane hungry. So I had our protein bar, so luckily we were able to eat that real quick. But we kind of were learning that you need at least carry a protein bar or something with you. Make sure that you eat. Also be sure to make time for food. Don't overpack your itinerary where you don't give your time to have lunch or have dinner, and make sure you give yourself enough time to have lunch and dinner, and try to make sure to eat when you're used to eating so that your body is still keeping on track. And when it comes to hydration, make sure to constantly drink water. That's also something that we forget to do, is we're constantly just moving. It's like,
and
I'm not
have
thirsty.
Our water bottle, so we just forget.
Yeah, and then you get to that point where you get the headaches and whatnot, and you start slowing down. And then back to what we were talking about earlier, being hangry and all that. It's very important to keep yourself having nutrients and having water, so that you can keep your mind straight.
You're right. Yeah, 100%.
Stay sharp.
By the time the headaches set in, it's often already too late.
Yeah.
So
You're like, nope.
You have to make the conscious decision early in the day to drink. Honestly, that's why I start drinking water, especially in Florida or in places where Denver, I should have consumed a lot more water. But in places where you're going to get dehydrated faster, I just try to wake up and chug like a water bottle and a half, just so that I don't get too busy to forget, and then I forget anyway. And at least I'm a little better off for having consumed the water. But
especially starting with just coffee and not having your water with your coffee, it's bad to start out with something that can dehydrate you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I'm guilty of like drinking the morning coffee and then like 4 hours later being like, I haven't had a single drop of water. This is a good point.
Particularly important for if you have dietary restrictions.
Yep. Or if you choose a lifestyle like veganism or something, where when you're traveling and you may not know where your next meal is.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But I know you guys I'm sure Devin does her research really
It's
well.
gotten better.
And places have gotten better too. Yeah. I don't know what it. My cousin, who's not vegan but vegetarian, had to give up vegetarianism when she lived in China because she's like, I have to eat, and I don't know what I'm eating sometimes, and I can't figure out if it has animals in it or not, so I'm just gonna eat. But I know she said it was tough.
When we have the option to, and this is not always the case by any stretch of the imagination, depends where you're traveling, but especially if you go into a lot of theme parks, and we do a lot of Disney, typically what we will do for ourselves is we will try to pad in, we will plan in advance for one dining reservation per day. That at least guarantees us that at some point during the day, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, we are going to slow down and we are going to stuff our bodies with food. Because we have, like everyone else, we have made the mistake of just not leaving any time for food and just completely bypassing it and getting hangry and dehydrated and all of that. So at least knowing that you have one meal taken care of takes a lot of stress out of the situation. Because if you hit that point midday, you're like, all right, I do need to stop and eat something, but thank goodness we have dinner reserved, so we know we have to be over there at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, a reminder.
I think having the dining plan for the Cedar Fair passes last year kind of helped with that too, because it's like I need to make sure I use my 2 free meals.
Right. Then you have then it's like a game. Like it's been 90 minutes. I need a snack.
Yes.
We did Cedar Fair dining for Carowinds just to try the 1 day package.
Oh, we did.
To see if it was going to be a good fit, because we had family coming behind us a couple days later, and they had asked us if we knew anything about the dining plan.
And we were like,
we have only tried it at Knott's. Let's try it here and see if it's worth doing, and then we'll report back. It wasn't the best food we've ever had, but we did remember to eat because we had it.
It was great at Knott's because I was eating like boysenberry punch and
oh my gosh, it was during the festival.
I love that festival.
Yeah, boysenberry everything.
That was good.
And you could use the snacks with the dining plan. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Knott's has it on lock.
I think Knott's has Cedar Fair on lock. In general.
They're like, are they really? I mean, they're Cedar Fair in name, but
Cedar Flags.
Yeah,
Cedar Flags.
Well,
tell your story.
Well, I have a story to tell, but I also wanted to ask
story.
Chad and Vanessa about their experience
as
well. So I think Tim and I are chronic overpackers.
I don't think that.
Tim loves to overpack. He wants to drag that big old suitcase around, and he's like,
"It's good cardio to have a little extra weight."
He's like, I want to be prepared. I never know what's going on. I mean, when we went to Hawaii was the worst of overpacking because Hawaii was the worst because we both had I had a big suitcase, a little carry-on size suitcase that I didn't carry on. It was just checked. And then we had a bag that was, I call it the shoe bag because literally it's just shoes because sneakers and stuff take up a lot of space in your suitcase.
I use the shoe bagging forever.
Yeah, but we had those, and then you had your suitcase, and there's a shot of us leaving Alani and going to the airport where it does look like I am dragging all of our bags, because I was. And every time I see that, I'm like, this is too much. First of all, whenever you have laundry service, you do not need to overpack. You don't. You can do laundry just like you do at home. We didn't know that we were going to get laundry for free at Alani, but we ended up being able to do that. And because we did get it for free. I was like, by the time, because we did a weekend in Hawaii and then a week in Disneyland. And I was like, not quite a week in Disneyland, but 5 days. I was like, there was so much stuff I didn't wear.
I brought this up.
And also, oh yeah, here it is.
This is Katie
dragging all of our stuff. There's too much.
All of our
too much stuff.
But that's not all of them, though. It just looked like it was.
You had one more suitcase, but still.
I had a suitcase, a backpack, and a small bag.
Carrying the
I remember that too. I was commenting.
I'm embarrassed by that. I'm like, we look like rookies who don't know what we're doing because we're dragging all this stuff.
We look like we're prepared for anything.
And in Hawaii or whatnot, what am I wearing? My bathing suit and dresses a lot. I don't need a billion outfits. I'm going to the beach and the pool. And the same thing happened when we did a family trip to St. John, the Virgin Islands. I was like, I brought too much stuff. I hate it. Same thing happened in the Netherlands. I brought too much stuff. So I know.
So what you're saying is you'll continue overpacking.
No, I don't like it. I was actually really proud of myself. For my friend's wedding, I brought a carry-on bag and I carried that on the plane, and I didn't look, and I was going to a wedding, so I fit like my bridesmaid shoes, my bridesmaid's dress, all the stuff. I was getting my hair and makeup done, so I left like all my makeup behind, which helped. So I was really proud of that. But I know you guys did how many days in Japan?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks with 1 week's worth of clothes.
2 weeks with 1 week's worth of clothes. You guys had your backpacks.
Yep.
And that was it, right?
So we had one backpack, one hiker's bag with all of our stuff in it, and then we had our basically messenger bag that was kind of like our daily bag / quick and grab while we're on transportation. And then if we were at a park or something, we would either have a backpack or I had a fanny pack that I used as a sling. But yeah, so the process of getting to where we ended up for Japan took us the whole 8 months to figure out.
It was so stressful because I don't like to overpack, but I'm not used to packing less either. So that was really hard to do. But since we were limited because of flight restraints, the what's it called? The limitations on international flights and how much you could carry, the weight and all that stuff.
we could technically have checked 2 bags.
Oh yeah, we didn't want to check in bags.
The biggest thing is because we were traversing so much land across Japan, we didn't want to have to pull luggage or deal with that much luggage as we didn't have to. Initially, our thought was to have one carry-on size rolling bag and a backpack.
Yeah.
To kind of just alleviate the weight of carrying everything on our back. It was Vanessa's decision at one point to convince me to let's go to just backpacks, and I did it reluctantly for a long time. It's like there's no way that we can carry enough stuff just on our back. And that's then when the research kicked in of, well, how do people do that? There's people that live their whole life years on end just out of a backpack. So it took tons of watching YouTube videos, tons of just researching and coming down and paring it down to having a week's worth of clothes, which then that meant that we needed to make sure that when we got to the halfway point, which was there outside of Mount Fuji, that we had washer and dryer unit to do all our laundry, so that we could continue on to the second week. But what was nice is that when you make yourself limited to just what you need, it's kind of freeing. It is. And for the most part, we didn't take anything with us that we felt like, oh, why are we lugging this around? Why are we bringing this? And the thing is because we took the trains, a lot of train stations in Japan, I guess very similar to New York City, they don't have elevators or escalators. It's just stairway. And if you were trying to pull a rolly bag,
we saw people struggling.
You were struggling getting it up the stairs. So,
I would do the rolly bag in a backpack if we were just staying in one central location.
Yeah,
I would struggle a little bit up the stairs, or we find the escalator eventually in that one main area. But since Chad said, it was just so much stairs.
So if just like us, if we were traversing like we did basically every day, we were moving to a new city and a new location. It's best just to carry as light as possible.
And then without taking too much time, we figured a lot of the times we weren't even going to have our backpack. It would be the most we had it on was for like 30 minutes at a time when we were walking, because the other time it was going to be left behind at a hotel or in lockers, so it wasn't too bad.
Or stored above us on the train.
Or stored above in the train. Right. So that's what we also
it's not
figured.
Like you guys were backpacking through
like hardcore, like
with
yeah, like hours on end with a backpack. Right. No,
but
I was very inspired by it. I'm still trying to convince Tim that we need to. I was like, and I know you guys were doing a lot of public transportation, which a very long story, very short. I took a school trip to France when I was 15, 14 years old, and British Airways lost our bags. So all I had was my my EF Tour backpack, which had, money, passport, and nothing else. So I had the clothes that I was wearing for a 10-day trip in France, and that was it. So, but I remember the feeling of like we were combined with another group from like Michigan, and there was like 6 kids in that group, and there was like 6 to 8 kids in our group. And all those kids were on a different flight. They didn't lose their bags, but they're getting on and off these French trains, and we're on and off of buses, and they're dragging their bags, and I'm like, I'm good. I washed my underwear in the sink last night. I'm feeling great. Like that was a fantastic trip. And I remember that, and I think back to that. I'm like, I don't want to rough it that much, but I do think we overpacked. I felt like I overpacked in the Netherlands too.
Bouncing off with what Tim is saying, I agree and disagree with that, because sometimes if we do end up forget to pack it, we just buy it there. There's plenty of mall. I know it's extra money, but it will save you space. Like,
it's easier if you forgot something to go get it than to carry it around the whole time.
Yeah, basically. Like, yeah, you got to spend the money, but if you do accidentally forget about it, just know there's always a way to get what you're gonna need. Yeah. Unless it's medication.
That was like the biggest thing I carried. I had basically a large gallon Ziploc bag full of all the stuff, because over-the-counter medication is different in Japan, and you're allowed to bring it with you as a tourist. So I basically carried a small pharmacy with us.
I was going to say, I was like, that would be me too. I'd be like, I need the
That's like the largest thing I had.
Allergy pills, you don't know what you're going to react to over there, all that stuff. So I would be the same.
See, my argument for packing quote unquote too much is that I am a very OCD person, and I have like a very particular, I want to wear this shirt, and I want to settle down with this pastime, and like I want to be able to like do these things before bed, and all of those things, you don't think about it until you're about to go somewhere, where you're like, well, if I don't have my laptop and my headphones and my charge cord and all that stuff, then I can't settle down with my normal like nighttime bed shows or whatever. And then on top of that, if I don't bring 2 sets of pajamas, then I got to wear the same set of pajamas all week, and I got to rotate through the wash at some point because I sweat a lot in the night, and so on and so forth. And then it doesn't bother me to have to lug stuff everywhere, so I feel like it shouldn't bother you.
I lived the life of not lugging the stuff, and I like it. And I also feel
I lug my own stuff, so it doesn't matter.
You were also like, you had said
except
before,
in that one shot.
Like, I don't want to be like that one tourist. And I'm like, we are those tourists if we're seeing gigantic rolly suitcases.
My tune on that changed when I found out that we could book private transportation all over the Netherlands.
Yeah,
but elsewhere, yeah, I mean, doing the trip like Chad and Venessa did would be a different story. We wouldn't be able to do what we did with the luggage.
Yeah, that was really hard for me too, Tim, because I'd love to be themed at Disney, and I had to limit what I had to choose for Disney. And I'm like, I had anime shirts, which I definitely wanted to wear because it's Japan, but then I only had like 2 Disney shirts. I'm like, wait, but this Disney shirt's not going to go for the theme of Tokyo Disney Sea, because it was like a random I'm like, so it was really hard, but I ended up compromising. And with the routine that you have, like you said about, I have to have this, I didn't compromise with those things. Like, I need to have my noisemaker 100%, but it's small enough to pack too. Or, I have to have a pillowcase because I don't, stuff like that. I did bring those things, but it was hard. It was hard.
Kind of between all of us.
Yeah.
Where he's like, bring what you need and then acquire what you want.
But it's true that like I, from that French trip experience, like, all of a sudden I'm without my toothbrush, deodorant, things like that. Like, those are things we could go to the pharmacy and get, those things we could get. So even if you want to save room in your bag, you can go just put in your budget. Okay, we're going to buy a toothbrush, deodorant, this stuff or whatever.
That's something that's
what's nice about Japan. All Japanese hotels at least give you all the amenities.
That was something I noticed too.
Yeah, that's something. Toothbrush, toothpaste, brushes, combs, washing soap, hand soap, like everything is there for you to take if you want it or need it. And that's what's like, I didn't have to take any toiletries, but my shaving cream and shaver and deodorant and my comb. I add a small toiletry kit. Otherwise, because like I'll just use the soap that they provide.
Yeah, I think
and this is another thing too, is that the fact that since you mentioned shaving, I have to think about vlogging constantly, no matter where we go. So I'm always trying to think like, all right, I got to make sure I have my electric razor or my electric trimmer for my beard. I got to make sure I have my shaving kit so that I can clean up for the vlog. Then I have to pack 16 different cameras, GoPro, harness, mount, anything I could possibly need. I still wind up leaving something behind 100% of the time. There's no replacing a GoPro mount if you had to custom order from Amazon. So that's got to come with me. And then on top of, like, by the time I get all of that, my computer, my headphones, like my backpack's pretty much full on technology. So everything that I want to wear or, bring for comfort, I have to put in my suitcase. And at that point,
that's where most of my weight was carrying the camera stuff.
Yeah.
I don't carry a laptop. I didn't carry a laptop with me.
Yeah, which next time I think we will, because we discovered that it was very much needed to get Ghibli tickets.
Yep,
we don't need that app.
I remember
you don't need that
part
engine.
of sit down. Yeah. The cozy couch talk.
Oh yeah, that's right. But yeah, that was really hard.
Really resolve the overpacking issue.
Well, I think it's.
I think it's not going to be resolved. I think we have different opinions.
There's just different camps, and there are times when I do think it's. I will, like Vanessa said, if we're going to Disney World or Disneyland, I'm probably always going to overpack because I'm going to be like, I need these ears, and I need these ears, and I need this hat. And if ears and hats and dumb stuff take us up space. But there's times where I could work on that and be more efficient.
And then, something I don't think I'll ever do though. There are those hardcore backpackers that only wear one merino. They take one set of clothes. I'm like, I can't do that. I at least got to have 3 sets, or at least minimum 3 sets of clothes.
The hardest thing for me would be to limit, because this might be TMI, but I always pack like the amount of underwear I think I will need for the entire.
No, that is definitely not. That will always
like that.
Like
20 of them. I'm like, the trip is 10 days. I bring 17 pairs because just like I need more than one. So like packing only a week, I'm like a week's worth of underwear was 20 pairs. Like, I don't know. That would be tough for me.
John, to your point, gaffer tape works real well if you're filming in nature, but if you're filming on a roller coaster, people have pretty picky specifications and requirements about
I don't
mount.
think he's referring to that.
I know, but that's what I was talking about with the GoPro mount.
Yes, if you
remember when we went to Gatlinburg and they only allowed the one kind of mountain I didn't bring?
Yeah.
Anyways. All right. Chad, Vanessa, you're up.
Ooh, rule breakers.
Yeah, what was this story?
Naughty.
Oh, this is my story. It's very short. So because we go back to Texas to visit family, we like to go to San Antonio and Austin. We were climbing Mount Bonin. It's one of the mountain. It's not. Yeah, it is a mountain in Austin, Texas. Anyway. We were climbing it. This could be anywhere. Don't be dumb like me. So I forgot what the name of the condition is, but it is a condition. You are not. This is dark. You are not suicidal, but you love high places. I forgot the name of it. If I ever remember it, I'll send it to you, Tim.
It's like not a phobia, but like an actual
It's a real thing.
Like if you want to feel the thrill, I guess.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, you're not suicidal.
I feel like that's you might be describing me. Hold on.
Yeah, I think we might. I think we have talked about it before, Tim. But yeah. So there was a fence. It wasn't a fence. It's a little makeshift rope fence.
Chain thing.
Yeah, and it's meant to not cross over. I ended up crossing over anyway. And I sat on a ledge. I sat on the ledge. It looked like it was a nice ledge, but I had no idea. Like that could have been a really bad situation. My legs were dangling off. I was way up high, and I was just enjoying. It was a gorgeous scenery. beautiful scenery, and I was just sitting there on the edge and just enjoying myself. But there's like a million signs posted: do not cross over. There's slippery rocks. There's ledges. There's whatever. Like there's been very disastrous situations that come out in the news at waterfalls or in the Grand Canyon. Do not cross here. You're gonna fall over and die. So just be mindful. As much as you want to do it, as much as I want to do it, do not do it. Like, be careful. Enjoy yourself from a distance, because you never know. You might lose your footing and you might go over and whatnot. And like, I know a lot of people do love living on the edge, and
that's how roller coaster enthusiasts get started.
Yes. Then at least I'm glad we're strapped on.
Yeah.
Is it acrophilia?
Philia.
I think so. It's
because philia means love.
Yeah, it's the
philia.
So
antonym.
what's the definition? What's the definition?
Well, I looked up the antonym to acrophobia because I knew that was the fear of heights. So what I got is the opposite of phobia is the other suffix philia, which is Greek for fondness or excessive love.
So it's like the excessive love of heights.
Acrophilia is the expressive, or is expressive of the love of heights.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's it.
That might be it.
I definitely don't have that because I do not love heights.
I also just learned that intrusive thoughts while you're standing in high places, like, what if I just fell down? Which I have that thought all the time. That's not acrophobia. That's a symptom of OCD, which I also have. So,
just intrusive thoughts?
Like, just intrusive thoughts when you're in high places.
Well, that's what happened to me. I won't get into that story.
It's a whole different...
I've had moments.
Psychology of.
I've had moments doing something that I'm
topic.
having a lot of fun on that I've been like, what? Like, it's kind of like the scene in Barbie where she's like dancing, and then she's like, "You guys ever think about dying?" And you're like, "Yeah."
And I hate it because I want to do these things. Like, I want to go over the fence. I want to just look over the ledge, and it's like I'm gonna die one day, and I was so scared. I like just don't.
There must be something cool. They won't keep me out.
I got bad news. We're all gonna die one day.
Oh yes, you're, might as well do it. Yeah. But yeah, just keep respect the rules of the property.
Don't cross over fences. Don't
climb ledge
areas.
Yes.
I mean, you got yelled at by that cop that one time.
I was thinking about that too.
We were in Savannah. Was it Savannah?
Savannah, Georgia. It wasn't even. I didn't get yelled at by like a rent-a-cop or anything. It was like a resident as part of like the duplex. I jumped a fence to get a shot because I was making a little highlight reel. It was not. We weren't even vlogging. It was like a family trip.
Yeah.
But I jumped the fence because I was like, I can literally like see the bridge that I need to be on to get this shot, and it's like a very low fence, so I jumped it, and then some resident came out on her balcony from a duplex that was like way over there, like not even remotely close, and started yelling, "Excuse me, this is private property. You can't do that. I'm gonna call the police." I'm with my sister at the time.
Well, it was my sister.
Your sister. It was my friend that we drove down together, and now is my sister-in-law. So I'm there with my sister-in-law. She sees me jump the fence. She's like, "What are you doing? Don't do that." And I was like, "I'm gonna get real quick. I'm gonna get a shot." Then this resident starts yelling, and I'm like, "What?" And by the time I've turned around,
my sister-in-law
is literally like is running. It was almost like a comical cut where like I turn around and there's like a poof of air.
Oh man.
She roadrunnered out of there.
Yeah, basically.
Basically.
There was no actual police activity.
No.
That was someone saying that they had an in with the police and they were going to call them on me. Never actually happened. But follow posted guidelines just in case.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't break the rules. Historically, we have filmed where we weren't supposed to film, and now we don't do that. So.
You learn from mistakes.
Yep. I've done it.
This will be yours. This is your grand closer.
Is this our last one?
This is our last lesson. Although I feel like we've taught like 14 lessons.
I've definitely talked about this before, so I won't go into like major story time. But I have definitely done
Hold on, I have a graphic for you.
I've definitely done the one time. want to look cute versus be practical.
Oh yeah.
I do have some Vessies that are not, they're I don't know if they're waterproof, but they're water resistant shoes that I should have probably worn that day.
They are very waterproof if you don't get any water in the top of them.
Like into your shoe.
Then
the water just stays in there.
Then they become aquarium shoes.
I like my Chuck Taylors. They're cute, but they have no support and they are crap in the rain because they're canvas. They soak everything in, and I got blisters really bad in Florida. Halloween Horror Nights, what was that, 2022?
That was the worst.
We were with Mitchie the man.
It was a great night.
It was a fantastic
night. In terms
night.
of entertainment and activity and company, but not in terms of footwear.
I should have not gone with the cute shoes. I would have been better off in just my regular sneakers, honestly, but like walking around for like 8 hours in the rain in the Converse shoes, which I think, Vanessa, I think you're a fan of Converse too. Adorable, so cute, but not great theme park shoes.
I somehow layer my Converse with really good quality socks that have the
like a supportive arch.
The supported socks, yeah, and I actually last a pretty good while with them. The newer models of Converse now have like not the best still, but they now have a softer cloud type level, and they've been really comfortable. So I don't know. I've never really been a sneakers fan, but I have to start wearing sneakers at the parks because they're not really, Converse aren't that really great to be walking around all day. It's stupid.
Exactly. Yeah. So
they're super cute, but you can only do it for like
so what I do now is I do balance it. I will wear them for like a little bit and then have another pair of shoes.
I'll do like, if we're gonna do like partial theme park day and then like go to dinner or something, I'll like, okay, well, it'll be my dinner outfit. Or if we're just doing like, I don't know, I've gotten away with just doing them for like after hours or something when we're not doing a full 12-hour theme park day.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely if rain is in the forecast, which it often is in Florida, that's a no.
It actually always is in Florida. There's not a single day when there's not a rain cloud on there somewhere.
And I've definitely done that. So yeah, if you're traveling, whether it's a theme park, whether you're gonna be in, DC or walking another, like, Paris, wherever, if you're gonna be walking on your feet for however many hours, wear comfy shoes.
And
blisters will ruin a trip.
This will be a fly in the face of your overpacking argument. But I would also say, especially if you're going for a longer trip, bring multiple pairs of shoes.
At least two pairs.
If you don't swap them out daily, like one to the other, you will develop blisters from just rubbing against the same spot.
Caught in the rain in one, you can at least let them dry out before you have to put them on again. And I think, I don't know,
my gosh,
but bare socks are also.
Oh, they both said.
Yeah, if you can bring
if
you get soaked, at least you can save your feet some hours of blistering, because they'll get wet again if your shoes are soaked, but you can at least start fresh for a few hours with a fresh pair of socks. I think we bought we had to buy like Run Disney socks in Epcot that one day because you were like, my socks are goners, and we ended up with like, $20 Run Disney socks.
That was a tough day.
Yeah.
We're gonna rock them, Mitchie.
As we're coming to the end here, I do want to real quick address the other thing that Mitch said earlier, which was, let's all go skydiving.
Yay!
So, skydiving has been on my bucket list for a long time. It's not coming off the bucket list because I haven't done it, and I still would like to. But I will say, for my bachelor party, my brother took us all to one of those like indoors like skydiving tunnels.
Oh, the air ones?
Yeah. It was at this point where I realized for the very first time how different skydiving is to traditional falling. Because when you're skydiving, and they tell you, and you see in pictures, and it does not register how this feels, that you have to keep your head up because the wind is rushing at you as you're falling. So in a wind tunnel in particular, but also, as it turns out, in actual skydiving, the air is being forced up inside your nose and mouth. So you're suffocating all the way down if you don't hold your head in the correct position.
Oh
And
my
I was
goodness.
like, you know, that takes some of the fun out of it for me. It's not like a roller
That's the first thing I'd be thinking of. Like, I have to keep my head up. I have to keep my head up.
Yeah,
Because
but
of
you
Tim
want to
now.
look at everything. So I was
Right.
like,
You're looking out.
but
I don't
you
know.
should be looking down. That's where the fun is.
Trick.
Wait, so you can't look down?
Acrophilia. That's what I'm saying. You
What
want
if
to.
you had like? Do you skydive in a helmet? Do you skydive in a helmet?
I
I
think
don't know
so.
if skydive in a helmet.
Because
Some
if you
people
I
do.
would also-
wouldn't that,
I would
like,
also
block-
do it with somebody.
You have to.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
If you're inexperienced, you have
You
to
have
tandem.
to tandem, yeah.
Unless
So-
you do it with a disreputable company.
Yeah.
If
If you do,
If the company says, "Hey, do you want to do it on your own?" you say no. All right. Anyway.
with that transition,
And we've all seen Mr. Monk and the skydiving accident or whatever, right?
oh my gosh. Oh,
So this week's creator spotlight, as we close out, as we always do, by highlighting other creators, we did want to call out some of our long-term friends and some new creators that we just kind of stumbled across recently. Long-term friends would be our friend Hannah over in the UK, who has an Instagram account, a YouTube account where she posts 3 times a week reliably, and I don't think she's missed one in a long time. So more power to her. I can't keep up. Has her own TikTok and a Twitter account, or an X account, whatever you want to call it now. Her content is a lot of Disney, but she also does, Star Wars, Harry Potter. I guess Star Wars technically Disney. She's big on Loungefly as well. So if you like Loungefly, or if you
she's
like,
got a vast collection.
she has a vast collection, and she does a lot of shopping vlogs. So for anyone who's interested in that kind of content, Hannah is your go-to gal. We also have JJ Extra, who we just stumbled across the other day, watching some of their. They are a lovely couple from the UK, 2 guys that have traveled all over the country and our country. So they are international. They are Orlando veterans, and they are just kind of like roadside travel enthusiasts like we are. But they also do a lot of stuff across the pond, as we would say. So YouTube is their primary, Instagram, and they of course do have a Twitter or an X account as well, and Patreon. And our last one, Chad and Venessa, do you guys want to read this one off since you supplied it?
Oh yeah, the Mandarino Adventure. She's a small channel. She goes to Disneyland a lot. Her husband works there, and she's just keeping us all updated with Disney, the West Coast area, the Disneyland area. She does a few lives. She caters to Spanish. Her lives are in Spanish, but she'll do a little bit of both. So it's really cool. But she's really sweet. She's a really sweet lady.
We were connected to the Mandarino Adventures by Chad and Venessa, who have been following them forever and are good friends with them. And I think you guys usually see them when you go out west, which is really
No, I've never met her. We
What?
tried to.
I thought you meant the last time you got together.
No, we were trying to coordinate, but she ended up getting COVID. So
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well,
Next time, yeah.
it's an
But we've been
adventure for
talking
the
for a while.
future. But
Yeah.
Internet friends are still good friends.
I genuinely have. I mean, with all the creators that we put in our spotlights each week, each month, however often we do live streams these days,
Whatever.
you can probably put together that it's hard for us to keep up with every single video from every single creator.
Yeah.
But we try our
Yeah.
best. Mandarino does. I have seen some of their videos, and they do really good content. So definitely check them out.
Mhm.
And of course, our friends Chad and Venessa, who sat in tonight, have been pumping out content like crazy over the last couple of months. Really, you've had a backlog of Japan content.
Yep, they've
Yeah,
got
trying
an extra of Japan content waiting for you guys to check out.
Yep, just trying to get them all out before we start the new season. Obviously, nothing's coming out right now is from 2024, but we're getting ready to have a trip down to Florida here at the end of the month, so we'll have some Florida stuff coming. There's one in the backlog right now for my birthday couple weeks ago, we went to New York City, so we have a whole vlog from us going to the city and went to the the New York Transit Museum. That was really fun to do it down in Brooklyn. Took the Amtrak up, so it's really a train-based vlog. Very much missing the trains in Japan, so I kind of wanted to do something.
Did you get on the wrong train?
Not in New York. It's easier.
It's not you have to go back and get on the wrong training.
But you definitely can tell the difference though between a New York train and a Japan train.
Oh my god!
I bet you can.
Oh, I bet I could name 3 differences off the top of my head.
Looks and smells and
ooh, the smells.
all that.
Very American.
So
Yep.
So we should have about 4 videos left from Japan. So we have our 2 days of sightseeing in Tokyo, and then our 2 Disney vlogs, and that'll finish out. So that should be within the next 3 weeks. Hopefully, I can get all 3, get the 2 out in a single and the 1, and then right before we go to Florida, we'll try to have out the New York City vlog, and then there will probably be a space in the middle because things will nothing will be there, and then we'll pump out doing Busch Gardens, Tampa. In Tampa, we're gonna be doing SeaWorld and then Disney World.
I want to go to DC. I don't know if we're filming that though, since we didn't do that last year.
We'll see.
For the Cherry Blossom
Oh,
Festival.
the Cherry Blossom. Yeah. Well,
You've got a lot on your to-do.
you guys have been. I mean, I know it's nice to have like a backlog of content to work on, but it sounds like you guys are gearing up for kind of a busy spring. So have fun, enjoy, and have safe travels. And thank you so much
thanks for sitting in,
being with us tonight and sharing your experiences. And it's been a fun
Likewise.
time.
Thanks for having me.
It was fun hearing your stories.
and yours. We don't catch up enough.
I know.
Our next live stream, Chad and Venessa, I don't think will be. They will probably be in the chat because they reliably are.
Yeah.
But our next live stream, Katie and I are going to continue our 1 day ... series that we started earlier this year with 1 day at Disneyland with 1 day at Hershey, because believe it or not, opening day for Hershey Park is only a couple weeks away.
Like 24 days.
Yeah, it's coming up quick, and there's a lot to cover of this new upcoming 2024 season that has changed, including Sky Rush. But we will be touching a lot of those different facets of Hershey Park for the next couple of weeks. So until then, thank you all for joining us. I know it was a bit of a longer.
It was a long one.
We did spend a long time on theme park
40
news.
minutes getting to the main meat of
I will do better in the future, but I will not apologize for the past.
There you will.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. For anyone who is watching the replay, I hope you enjoyed all of our stories over the last 2.5 hours of your life.
Yay.
Until next time, I'm Tim.
I'm Katie.
I'm Vanessa.
I'm Chad.
And every night
is a new
adventure.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.